Alrighty, and we are alive.
Would you
This
look at that?
wonderful April 25th,
hmm
Saturday that is. Yeah, we have a few things to talk about. First thing is first, welcome everybody to Canuckleheads. This live little show that we just talk about anything and everything, and we just, you know, do whatever.
This is true. This is very true.
Yeah. This week we have some stuff to talk about, though, don't we?
Oh yeah,
Just a few
several
things.
topics to talk about here and there. Hopefully, we can all cram this in the next hour or so.
If we give or take a little bit, yeah.
Oh, this is true. This is
But
true.
no, it's going to be very interesting. We have obviously, if people have saw the pre roll there,
hmm
we're going to be talking about the potential fall of Oktoberfest.
Yep.
Um,
Ziggy, ziggy, ziggy.
yeah, so we're going to save that for a little bit later in the show, but that's going to be an interesting topic. We're going to be talking a little bit about conventions, how they were 10 years ago, and I mean how they were to run 10 years ago, how they are now.
hmm
And yeah, and we have a little bit of a preamble, I guess some official stream business here.
Gotcha. What do you want to do
Um,
first, there?
I'm gonna be pouring this
All right.
Dixon's Wicked Gin. I think you have a glass up there already.
I think I do somewhere in
Yeah.
my
So
maze of things.
I picked up this little bottle here, um, in to get me through the quarantine. Just gonna give Dixon's Wicked Gin Citrus, so devilishly delicious we named it Wicked, is what they say. So
All right.
distilled over a special recipe of botanicals. It's smooth, playful, and memorable. Non-traditional gin, interesting, is light on the juniper with a refreshing hint of citrus. So it says either mix with sparkling water or over ice. So I'm starting with the over ice right now, and I'll go to the sparkling water after I'm finished my first beverage. So let me give
Sounds
this
good.
a little pop here. Smells like it smells kind of like I want to say like floor cleaner. Not in a bad way
Mm,
though. Not in a bad way.
floor cleaner. Sounds delicious.
It's not. No, I don't mean. I mean that in like the best possible way,
Oh, I
the
see.
best
Okay.
possible ways. But I did want to say we're not sponsored by Dixon's or anybody for that matter. So we aren't. This is gonna be an honest review and everything else like that. And I
But
figured.
if Dixon would like to sponsor us,
I mean, hey, if anybody wants to sponsor us, I'm more than happy to.
this is
Be more
true.
than happy to take that. No problem. But
hmm
no. I will say the first order of business here. So yeah, and I think probably the best way to kick off the show is to have a little bit of sip of gin
hmm
and talk about the Sonic movie because we both watched that pretty soon, like pretty
This
recently.
is this is true. So let's have a taste of this.
Mm. Yeah, it doesn't have that harsh burn like traditional gin does.
No, no, it's sort of there in the back of the throat. So like,
Mm.
hey, how you doing? Not like, oh my god, what I just drink.
But it does have that aftertaste of citrus though.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Oh, well, second glass. Hmm.
Yeah, it's not bad. I like it.
Yeah,
I mean,
not bad at all. We had this that you mentioned before at the Rib
no, we've had
Fest.
something similar, but
Oh,
we haven't
something
had this.
similar. Okay.
Yeah, we didn't have this. We had something similar, but not this. Hmm. Yeah, it's very light for a gin.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Like you can tell it's a gin because it has that like distinct. It has that taste. Like if you like
Yeah,
gin, you might be a little bit disappointed with how tame this one is.
but those people who are not into gin but like to drink gin, this is probably one of the best things for them. Because again, when I drink gin, it has that gin taste to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the
That's
juniper.
yeah.
Yeah.
And this is quite does not have that kick,
Mm.
but it has that familiarity, which I think is pretty good.
Yeah, it has like the essence of gin, which I think is really nice. And like at the tail end of it, you get the juniper and you get the citrus
hmm
aftertaste.
Oh yeah,
Very nice actually.
Yeah, not bad.
Very nice. Not bad over
And
ice.
and thank you for sharing that with me. I do sincerely appreciate it.
Yeah, not bad over ice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and like this glass of gin, it's going. I mean, the Sonic movie went pretty fast.
That's true. What was the running time on that? An hour and a half, something like that.
I don't know, but I never felt bored watching it though. Like I never was upset watching it. Like I usually when movies are bad, I'm just like, oh my god, is this over yet? Like, but
I think,
no.
yeah, I think this had an average runtime. I'm going to assume at least an hour and a half, 90 minutes type of thing. But however, I was very, very impressed with Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie. A lot to unpack, a lot for many different demographics. Stuff for the kids, stuff for the older kids. It almost reminds me of a Pixar film. There's always something there for everybody. And
Well, it felt like an old time like a throwback to like how Disney used to be kind of thing.
yeah,
I mean, like it felt like a fan service movie, which is good. I mean, for if you're doing Sonic the Hedgehog, that's really good.
hmm.
It had a lot of fan service in it. It had, I mean, I love the references. They were so good. Like there were so many different throwbacks to the different Sonic games and like
Oh yeah,
the whole Doctor Robotnik thing and yeah. So like I mean, I wasn't I there was a bunch of times that was just like, well, why did they go this direction? But I never questioned that. Like I just kind of went along with it. It had me the whole time. So
yeah. Well, one of the few things I was quite impressed with is how Jim Carrey took this actual role on, because usually he stays a lot from he usually stays away from Hollywood productions such as this, because he's doing the whole artist thing and stuff like that. And for Jim Carrey to come back to a full length feature, that really says a lot, especially to his credibility as an actor, as an artist, and so forth. So it's really good
well,
to see that.
yeah, and I mean, like, as much as I like Jim Carrey in his serious roles because he's got some really good acting
Oh
chops,
yeah, yeah,
it was really nice to see him going back to like kind of like the roots, I would say, because there wasn't very many actors that could pull off like a Jim Carrey or a Robin Williams or something like that, and just kind of just be rambunctious and slapstick and everything else like that, right?
Well, let's tap your noggins a little bit here. When you talk about Dr. Ribardo, does Jim Carrey really come to the forefront of things? My personal opinion, no. But at the same time, I think that he brought an actual new type of angle to the character overall. Because again, from my perspective, it's a character that sits in a giant robot chair, chases after Sonic type of thing, and that's really about it. But I think this added a lot of depth, and I think it added a new comedy aspect to the character. Unless, of course, I'm mistaken, because you know more of this lore than I do.
Well, like Robotnik was always kind of ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah,
in the games, I guess he didn't really have much of a speaking role, but
yeah,
he was just kind of an enemy that you beat up. But
yeah,
no, I really liked how they incorporated his like little hover thing, kind
yeah,
of his little hover machine.
yeah, yeah,
I don't know what to call it, but no, like the whole thing. And I didn't realize until about halfway through, when Sonic was like beating the crap out of his machine. It's like, holy crap! Like Sonic is bouncing on top of the machine like he does in the video games.
yeah,
Like I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool little thing. And then yeah, so that whole situation there, it was really really organic, and
yeah.
it didn't feel forced. It didn't feel gimmicky. It felt like it was supposed to feel. So I got that's what I really liked about that one.
For sure, for sure. And as also mentioned before, one of the few things I liked, me, I'm not an avid video game player, as everyone probably knows by now. And one of the things I did like is when Sonic fell, all of his rings came out. I
That
thought that
was
was
pretty good.
a very nice touch. He did, and they only went back to that a couple of times, because the first time I heard that, I went, "That sounds very familiar." Second time, I went, "Ah, I see what you crazy kids are doing." You know what? I like it. It works a lot.
Yeah, the sound effect and everything. That was really
Yep.
good.
Yep. And
Yeah.
also on top of that, it made sense. It wasn't like something was forced. It was, as I said before, it's very organic. It just felt right. And again, I just thought the film was really, really good, especially when we started talking about how alone Sonic is as well. Basically playing all the different roles he usually plays and stuff like that. And then basically we find out there's actually, surprise, surprise, some depth to this 3D rendering character, which
Well,
I found surprising.
And not only that, but it harkened back to the animated TV show too. The whole chili dog thing, like that was a deep lore for Sonic, and that kind of originated in like the animated cartoon and his love
Okay.
for chili dogs and him just being like a ham sandwich kind of guy, and 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 so like him going to that friggin' biker bar and just like completely tearing the place down and having chili dogs and everything else like that. Like that was it was perfect. It like it seamlessly mixed in the character to the world and it tied back his world to our world and it all made sense without asking too many questions.
That is awesome. And the thing is, I think that's something that's really missing from today's crafting of films, if you were, because one of the few things I liked about this production, you didn't have to read a book study to really understand what was going on. Like, well, I think one of the few things about the Star Wars franchise, again, not to be negative or anything else like that, I really felt you had to read all the back stuff to truly understand what was going on. Because again, there was a lot of stuff that was open when episodes, definitely in episode 8, a little bit of 9, a little bit of 7. But it's like, there were characters that popped up from nowhere. They had the instant respect of legacy characters. And you're kind of going, who is this person? Why are they here? Why is her hair purple? I don't understand. And
Yeah.
the thing is, in the Sonic movie, none of that stuff was done. It all goes back to storytelling and crafting a narrative. And you have everything you need within an hour and a half production. And the thing is that you watch the cartoons much as I well, more than I did. And the thing is, I don't know the whole chili dog things and stuff like that. But however, the thing is that I really felt it was a fun time watching this. And the thing is that everything was in the proper sequence and it really, really worked out well. And again, the thing is that, as I said before, not much questioning, not shaking the head going, why is that happening? I don't understand.
Yeah, I just kind of went with it the whole movie. Like
Yeah.
it had me. So no,
Yeah.
I thought it was a really good production
I thought so
overall.
too. And one of the few things I don't like doing is watching movies on my laptop. And one of the few things that I really liked about this is that I really got involved in the story that was taking place. I wasn't judging what medium I was watching in or anything else like that. And again, it was really, really fun time. My particular rating over this, if we're not finishing this particular conversation, but I gave this 3 out of 4 stars easy. Basically, anyone who watched this should be easily enjoyed from what's going on. If you really like movies, I think you enjoy this as well. I guess something for the older kids, something for the younger kids. Just a really good movie overall. And it's a little bit of a shame that this didn't do game busters in the box office because I think a sequel will be absolutely fantastic.
No, I think it was a really solid movie. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not going to put a rating towards it because I don't know. It's one of those things. Like it's a kids movie.
Mhm.
It wasn't made for me. So like I can't honestly put down a thing for it. But no,
Yeah.
it was a really solid movie for people who enjoy Sonic's lore. For people who enjoy that series, it was fantastic. It was really good.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that I could almost see Sega kicking off a cinematic universe from this because the funny thing is that this movie was done right. Unlike what was it, Universal Dark, that came out when they relaunched all the actual horror movie monsters, didn't work out so well. Plus, on top
Yeah.
of that, with the other franchises that were supposed to be these giant tentpole productions, didn't work out well because I really thought that they all missed that little basic element called storytelling, world building, character development, and all of those other very important things moving forward. And
Well, if they ever decide to remake a Super Mario movie, like they should tap the shoulder of these directors because like honestly, they knew what they were doing. Like they
yeah,
did their research.
yeah. And the best thing, as you said before, you don't need to watch or take part in all the different Sonic lore to actually really enjoy this movie. This stands on its own and it also lends into the different lores that's going on as well. Again,
Yeah.
just really solid. And the thing is, I think a lot of the stuff is missing on Hollywood these days. So
No,
maybe I'm
I
overgushing.
completely agree. No, I completely agree.
Yeah.
But no, it's I mean that's about a nice little bow on that conversation. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Well, wait. Before we leave this, I have to ask you, there, Crumb. What was your favorite scene?
Oh boy, there were so many good ones. Honestly,
Yeah.
there were so many good ones. I think it's like torn between without giving away too much of the movie. Robotnik
Hmm.
dancing in his little evil lair. I think that was hilarious. I think that
Gotcha.
was a pretty good one. And that one moment I had the aha moment when Sonic was like beating the crap out of his Robotnik machine. that he was flying in, and it was just like, oh my
Yeah.
god, like he's actually doing it. He's actually just jumping on the machine, and it's damaging it. I'm like, that was pretty cool.
That is awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah, no, again, very solid production. Highly recommend. Again, see it in any format, and
yeah,
hopefully make a sequel.
for sure. Now,
Yeah.
speaking of things for a blast from the past,
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about some convention stuff. Like, I mean,
Oh, that's a nice subject to talk
it's
about.
a great topic. I mean,
Uh huh.
let's take a look. Right, looking back, I mean, how long ago was Sonic? It was like 20 years.
Something like that. You probably know more than I do.
I mean, it came out on what, Sega Genesis?
Oh yeah,
So that was about around the same time as Nintendo Entertainment System. So like roughly around like 25, 30 years.
I was gonna say 25. Yeah,
Yeah.
somewhere between 20 to 30 years, somewhere in that ballpark.
And I mean, I mean, I've been helping out with conventions. I've been going to conventions for a little while, but
Mm-hmm.
you've been part of running conventions for
Oh God,
a little
let's not
while.
allow us not to put a number behind that. It's almost embarrassing.
Well, let's say like 10 years ago. I mean,
Sure. All right. So 10 years.
conventions,
Awesome. Yep.
running conventions 10 years ago is much different than running conventions now.
It depends what side of the table you're sitting on, and I would agree because basically, just there's so much out there. It used
Yeah.
to be a very niche, like basically, as everyone probably knows by now, usually conventions got together because everyone's sharing a love of thing X, allowed to be anime, gaming, Star Trek, Star Wars. Everyone got together because they really dug that particular um, genre of stuff, and they wanted to share that with all their friends and make new friends along the way. That was usually the basics of most conventions. And today, I don't know. I see a lot of convention owners, convention runners, if you will, whatever title you want to throw them. I just see dollar signs in a lot of their eyes, and they
It's
just
so
seem,
weird.
yeah,
It's
and they
so
seem
weird.
to really miss what brought them to the table in the first place. Was it a love of a certain movie? What was it, a particular feeling that they got after reading a certain book, or how they felt inspired by a certain character? Again, the thing is that I think San Diego Comic Con, as it led the way, I think it basically grew fruit to the point that people really wanted to have a piece of that. And when you have a convention as big as San Diego Comic Con, people going, "Hey, I could get some people together. My uncle has a stage in his farmhouse. We could bring it to the forefront. We could do this and this, and we make a lot of money in the process. And I like to buy a boat, several boats, and yeah, that's the reason why I'm going to move forward with this type of stuff." And it's just a shame. It really, really is.
Well, just on the topic of San Diego Comic Con, I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
you look at it, like yeah, that was kind of like the one that started it all, right? Like
Yeah.
that was the big event that kind of kicked off, and people were just like, hey, that's a good idea.
Yep.
Um, you think that that helped or like, helped and hurt? Because I mean, people look at San Diego Comic Con and everybody wants to be that. Everybody wants to be making the money.
Yep. Yep.
Everybody wants to be bringing that in. Like, but when you look at what conventions used to be, it was just kind of like, oh, you rent out like a bingo hall, or you rent out like a small building or whatever else, and you just kind of get people together, and you share in your fandom together. But
Yep.
now it's like you said, it's like, yeah, it moved from being a celebration and it's kind of like a big party to this everyone needs to make money thing.
Yep. See, the thing is that I don't think making money is bad, but when it becomes the pinnacle, the focus of everything, you definitely lose the things that are very important from all of that, which is very, very unfortunate. Basically, again, before fandom was around, it was all about the love of the hobby, if you will. And
Hmm.
the thing is, again, this is why people got together. Like as an example, I think Star Trek conventions were the first conventions on the block to actually celebrate the wonderfulness of Star Trek. And basically,
Yeah,
that was based off of what, a 62 episode television show. And when it off
yeah.
the air, people went, "We need more of this. We need to talk more about it." And
Well,
I,
and
I think that,
speaking of
yeah,
those conventions, didn't those start up because Star Trek went off the air?
I think it did. 90% sure, but I'm about 80 to 90%. And the thing is, again, it was just people who really enjoyed watching the TV show and they wanted to give some more props, if you will, to the actors who were part of it. This is before William Shatner became the William Shatner and everyone else in between. And the thing is that, again, it was the fans that really pushed us to the forefront. So, you know, and again, that was the beginning of things. Again, San Diego Comic Con started off as for the love of comic books. If I'm not mistaken with the lore there, they rented out probably one of the seediest hotels in San Diego, which was like really, really bad. But you know what? It had four walls and a roof that didn't spit out asbestos. And they went, sure, we'll keep running our convention here until they tore the place down. And then from there, someone else took over the power position and really expanded from there to San Diego Comic Con was responsible for between what 10 to 20% of the annual revenue of San Francisco itself. So
Yeah,
interesting stuff.
it grew to be pretty huge. But I mean, just looking at like local stuff too. Like I remember when I lived just north of Toronto,
Hmm.
and just started to hear about anime like back in the day. Like you couldn't find anime on television, obviously at this
This
point.
is true.
This was before Pokemon was a huge thing, before Digimon was a huge thing, before Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon. And like I mean, like probably just around the time when Dragon Ball Z, like Dragon Ball and Sailor Moon were hitting North American television.
Yeah.
Astro Boy, I think, was the first one.
Well, there's a lot of stuff to unpack with that because one of the few things about yours truly, before anime, it was called Japanimation. And the thing is that from all of that, it spawned, as we said before, Astro Boy. It also spawned the Three Space Cateers. It also sponsored Grandizer, Battle of the Planets, and the list goes on and on and on. And also, what was it called? G-Force? No, who's this
Yeah.
person on the screen here? What's this guy want?
Blaze Firestorm says,
Oh,
"How's the cough, Cress? It's doing better. It's being nursed by Jin right now. But thank you so much for joining us.
to your health.
Speaking of Jin, actually, I just finished mine, so I'm gonna try the second half of this now. I'm gonna try the spring water, the sparkling spring water.
Awesome.
It's suggested to do that, but no, I agree. It's like
Yep.
it sparked a whole bunch of other animes to come over. Some of them not translated so well, but
Of
we
course
had
not. And the thing is that
Speed Racer, we had Astro
oh yeah,
Boy.
and Speed Racer and Astro Boy and all those other animated productions, all that was predates I think the 60s or the 70s or something like that.
Yeah, it was
Because
a while ago.
a lot of this stuff's been on TV for a very very long time, and again not sponsored. And,
Yeah, no sponsorship here.
exactly, we should get them. But however, again, anime has always been this ongoing, evolving thing because when anime first blew up, where it was a manga entertainment that brought us Street
Yeah,
Fighter, Go.
Japanimation was the first I heard about it.
Yep, basically brought us Street Fighter, Ghost in the Shell, and before that, it was Akira that really pushed the door, kicked the door in from bringing stuff from the east to the west, and haven't looked back since then. But at the same time, here, there's a lot to say about that. And getting back to convention stuff, before conventions for anime itself, it always revolving around clubs at your local universities because they always showed
Well, at the
cartoons
time, it was high
from the
schools.
east.
At
Yeah,
it was the high school at the time. It was not universities.
yeah. Well, the thing is, I think for your demographic, definitely high school. For my demographic, was definitely the universities that brought to the forefront because again, stuff like Control A, stuff like that, that's been around for what 35, 40 years now.
Hmm.
Like it's been around for a really really long time, and the thing is that because the universities and high schools and so forth, they're responsible for doing um their own subtitling and stuff like that. And as we both know, some conventions just got together to daisy chain a whole bunch of VCRs together and just make as many copies as they possibly can. Thus, on top of that, sharing into the love and the enjoyment of distributing anime.
Well, that was the funny part. It's like because you could not get anime like you can now. You couldn't just go on the internet. I mean, the internet was in its infancy at that
Oh
point.
goodness
You
gracious,
couldn't
yeah.
you couldn't go on the internet and download it. You could barely watch it. You couldn't get all that stuff. So you literally had to get someone from overseas to like ship you a VHS if you were lucky.
Well,
And
the funny
then
is that when VCR stores, movie shops brought that stuff in, it was out all the time. Like I remember when I was living in the mighty metropolis known as Oakville, I literally had like bags of the stuff because I got my student card and went down there, rented things out like 12 for like $2 type of thing.
Yeah.
And before that, here in town, there used to be this video store called Steve's TV. They were one of the very first video shops to actually carry this in the regular library. And again, I remember having my bike, had a basket in the back, it was completely full of this stuff because I just couldn't get enough of it. And back then, before torrents was around and anything else like that, that was the only way you could watch it, unless you were lucky enough to have a friend over in the east that could ship you a copy, whatever was very popular. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I remember some of the first animes that I ended up watching.
yeah. What were your first?
I guess like Sailor Moon was probably the first. Dragon Ball, like Sailor Moon and
Okay,
Dragon Ball were the originals. I mean,
okay.
well, even predating that, Astro Boy was probably the first one that I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was on Global
Um,
TV, I'm assuming.
yeah, and
Yep,
then a bit of Speed Racer. Didn't
yep,
really get into Speed Racer, but I really got into Dragon Ball. Really got into Sailor Moon.
yeah,
Then it was like trying to find the Gundam series because those were amazing.
yeah,
Gundam Seed, Gundam Wing.
yep.
Um, went to Ghost in the Shell was another favorite.
Yeah, that
Um,
was definitely a breakthrough production with that.
Ninja Scroll was also good.
Oh gosh, yeah, yeah. Definitely, definitely.
That was probably the most serious one that I saw because that
Hmm.
one came. Like, I mean, that one came onto Teletoon back in the
Yeah,
day, but they
yeah.
and they watered it down a lot. But it was
Of
still
course.
pretty. It was still pretty damn serious.
Oh yeah.
But that was really interesting. And what else was there? There was Escaflowne was another one.
Oh goodness gracious. Yeah.
Evangelion. Evangelion was
Oh,
amazing.
yep.
I was spoiled growing up with anime.
Well, the fun thing is that, again, with yours truly, one of the few things I used to do when I went to public school is that, unfortunately, I sort of ducked out a lot of it because there was this thing, these cartoons you're going to watch 1 o'clock in the afternoon. This is
Yeah,
before the adventation of the VCR. You couldn't record it because once it's broadcast, it was gone. So the
yeah,
thing is that I was always late for school because they had their Japanimation hour. And again, from that, you're watching this high definition giant robots, Technicolor stuff just floating around.
hmm,
And again, this is some of the stuff that I was growing up on. And also, this predates the Dragon Ball, this predates the Sailor Moon, this predates the Gundam Wing and stuff like that. And the thing is that this is when this particular, I don't want to call it Japanimation, but this is when
yeah,
these particular animated productions were shoot on a very low quality because they kept recycling the actual the animation cells over and over and over again. And the thing is that when you're a kid, you don't even see that type of stuff. You don't see the flaws. You're just watching this for face value, and it
Well,
just blew my
You
socks
never
off.
cared about like the mouth flaps matching the words and stuff like that. And, like,
Well,
none of that mattered
there's
back
that.
then. None of that mattered.
No, of course not, because you're a kid watching this for the first time.
Yeah,
And but however, the stuff I watched was after the mouth flapping, not in sequence and stuff like that. This is actually all purely animated, and it's actually one of the few inspirations why I want to get the animation so bad, because you get these giant robots running around fighting evil, and of course having a little bit of a hidden message and everything. And it was lots of fun. Now, who's
yeah.
this guy? What does he want?
So it's Blaze Firestorm again. It says had to watch Dragon Ball at 4 a.m. to catch it when I was a kid. Yeah, I remember getting up at like 3 or 4 in the morning
Are
and
you
like
serious? That's awesome.
sneaking my television on, like because my dad used to go to work like around like 2 or 3 in the morning. So
Oh yeah.
as soon as I heard him leave, I would sneak my television on and I would try to watch some of the Japanese animation that was super late at night. That's how I got to watch the Super Mario Brothers Super Show and like some of the weird animations that were on after that. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Trying to think, there was one other one too. It was a really good series. It's left my mind again, but
Outlaw Star, maybe?
which one?
Outlaw Star?
I don't know. It doesn't sound familiar.
Uh,
That Action Toys channel says Herculoids.
yeah, and also the thing I liked about the Eastern animation, it was completely different from the West stuff
Yeah,
because
it was
again there was
very
that
weird.
every cartoon back in the 90s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s all seemed to be part of a larger toy franchise. Like
Yeah.
as an example, back in the
Oh,
day,
that's what it was. It was
yeah.
Hello Kitty.
Oh,
Hello
really?
Kitty was on at like 5 a.m.
I missed that completely. That train left the station without me. But I did catch the Sailor Moon. Dragon Ball Z, I never really got into back in the day. Why? Because it's kind of funny. Everyone knows I got the ADD, and I'm watching this type of stuff, and they always kept repeating what happened the previous episode 10 minutes
Well, yeah,
in.
they
And they
spent
got
like
that little
15 minutes explaining what happened in the previous episode.
for a half an hour show with like for a commercial element. It's like
Yeah.
you got like this much a show, and I'm watching going, this is never going to catch on. Who watches this shit? No one does. Boy, was I ever wrong. Hey Vic, how you doing?
Well, I think the first actual series that I sat down and watched from start to finish,
Yeah.
partly for my own choice, partly because it was forced on me,
Ah,
but was Fushigi Yugi.
for Sugar Yugi.
And
Why
I don't
do I
know if
know
many
this?
people know that it's an older anime, but
Okay.
Fushigi Yugi. I know it's a weird.
Mm,
It's
mm,
2 words,
okay.
but it's kind of like a really sappy, like I don't know how to explain. It's kind of like a soap opera anime in a
Okay.
way,
Okay.
but it's basically like the characters in there are memorable. Like they're really great,
Yeah.
and like it's This is the memories of that series. Like that was probably the first serious weird anime that I was watching.
Oh, oh, want to hear my first weird anime?
Which one was that?
JoJo's Adventures. When that first came out, I was in college, and a friend of mine named Adam says, "Hey Ron, you really have to watch this." It's like, okay, I'm watching this, and I'm watching this stuff on the screen, going, "What's going on?" Because none of this was subbed, none of this was dubbed. It was just like you hear the natural language, all this stuff is coming up. I'm watching this, going, I I I don't understand. I think I like it, but I don't know. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a
so
weird one.
just consider. I had to jump
That's a
in.
weird one. Well,
Yeah,
like Fushigi Yugi is not like a weird anime. I say it's weird, but just because it was like a Japanese romance, weird,
gotcha.
like kind of bizarre. Like it was so funny because like the director hated the series so much.
So yeah,
So
okay,
like he was happy to end it,
yeah,
but the fans hated the ending, and they demanded another episode to finish the series because they were so mad that the series ended the way it did. And so the director's like, you know what? Fine, fuck you. I'm going to give you your fucking ending then. And so he made it. He made the last episode basically like turned everyone into barnyard animals, and there's like,
so
it's
you,
just like,
so
there you
you like the
go.
characters, do you?
He's like, there you go. Fuck yourselves. I'm not doing this anymore. So like, that was
You could go eat pig feces.
yeah, it
Enjoy.
was pretty funny. I
So
mean, I didn't hate the ending of the series. I thought it was
yeah,
fine, but
yeah.
I mean that extra episode was hilarious. But
So here's a question for you, Crumb. What was the first anime series that you kept watching and watching and watching and saying to yourself, "This isn't going to fucking end," and you kind of gave up on it, but the series just keeps going and going and going?
I would probably have to say, and it wasn't because it was bad. It was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
because like, how the fuck are they going to continue doing this? It
yeah.
was it was Gundam Seed.
Gundam Seed. I got you.
That
Cool.
one went on for fucking ever. Like it was
And it's
good,
still going
and I
on.
enjoyed it, but
Yeah,
it's just like, how the fuck can they keep going?
yeah.
Like, good lord, like they just kept going and kept going and kept going. I'm like, okay, like I'm trying to
Well,
find all these series, but like I didn't hate the series. I loved it. Like
yeah,
I loved all the
yeah.
Gundams.
It just went on and on and on.
Like
Yeah,
Gundam Wing was kind of like, I mean, you could watch Gundam Wing Endless Waltz and then get
yeah,
the entire series of Gundam Wing. Like that was fine.
yeah. No, I got you. Mine started back in the old, again, the video shop days, the VCR tapes, and it had to
Hmm.
be Rama one half because that thing just kept going and going and going. And what once you think you're getting to that cusp of the end of the actual adventure, nope, there's a whole bunch of more stuff for you. Plus, on top of that, Christmas specials, followed by spring specials, followed by this special. I'm just watching, going, this shit's never gonna fucking end.
See, that was one series I never actually got my hands on, but
Yeah.
I probably would have enjoyed it. I don't know, but
Well,
I mean, like Dragon
yeah,
Ball Z, Dragon Ball Z ended up
yeah,
like that
yeah,
for a very long time.
yeah.
Like they even finished the series and then came back to it because it was so popular.
Yeah, no,
Like
for sure.
the ending of the Boo Saga, I think it was.
Yeah.
The ending of the Boo Saga was supposed to be that's it, like we're done.
Yeah. It's over, kids. Throw
Well,
the
I mean they did the Cell Saga and that was supposed to be it. And then they're like, okay, well, it's still popular, so we'll bring it back and then
I, I can just
we'll
see
do
it.
another arc.
It's still going on.
Well, then they finally killed like they did Dragon Ball GT, which was a hot fucking mess. And then they brought in Dragon Ball Z with the Buu saga, and they're like, okay, well, seriously, this time it's done. Goku's dead for good now, forever. And then Dragon Ball Super happens, and it's like, okay, I guess. I guess people still care about it. Let's just keep going.
No,
Let's see what random hair colors we can make them change into now.
geez, yeah. Again, just like a lot of other anime productions, Dragon Ball Z, like Hello Kitty, left the station without me. Didn't shed a tear. It's like, oh, okay.
Well,
Um,
one obscure series that I actually find really really entertaining, and
yep.
it's probably because I'm like a fucking 10-year-old. Is Domo. I don't know if you've ever seen the Domo shows.
Tomo. You know what? If I see a
So
couple images of it, I probably
he's that like little like that little rectangle dude, the little rectangle guy with like the sharp teeth. He's
okay.
brown. I
Okay.
don't know if I don't know what he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be a bear. I have no idea. But
Gotcha.
like in the show, he lives with like a bunch of animals. So I'm guessing he's supposed to be a bear. I don't know, but he's basically
You're
like,
you're 10. I was 30. You know, two ships in the
well,
night.
I have like the Domo DVD and I have a little Domo
Okay.
stuffy that I'm looking
Gotcha.
at right now. But
All right.
no,
Do you
Domo
have
is
it?
fucking hilarious.
Can you reach it?
No,
You can't reach it.
I can't reach it right now. But
Okay, no problem.
Domo's fucking hilarious. Like anyone that has a chance to go look up Domo, it I don't know
Oh,
how
wait
many
a minute.
seasons
Wait
it
a minute.
was.
Wait a minute. Wait. I think I know what you're talking about. Domo. I think isn't that the one of the meme where this little brown thing is just running and you see these cats
Yes,
behind it? Yeah.
yes,
No, no,
that's Domo.
no, okay. Never watched it, but it's kind of funny.
It's fucking hilarious.
In our very short conversation, how quickly I picked up on that just because it was an internet meme for the longest time.
They're very short little videos, but they're fucking funny. Like
All right.
there was one Domo video, like there's one little Domo short where everyone in his little house, like he lives with like four different animals, like I don't know,
Okay.
but he lives with an old rabbit that sounds like super stereotypical old man Japanese, which is hilarious.
Okay.
But anyway, so like they're all watching TV and they're watching this magician like bend spoons on the television, and so the magician's like, "Oh, it's super easy. All you have to do, just concentrate on it." Blah blah blah. So they all take out spoons and they all like concentrate on their spoons really really hard, and they all start bending their spoons with their mind, and they're like, "Oh my god, this is amazing! This is so great!" And here's Domo trying, and he can't do it. He's getting mad and he's getting madder and madder and madder and like everyone else's spoons is like bending and that's just pissing him off even more. And so like it got to a point where like Domo was getting so angry, like literally everything in the like, in his little apartment was starting to like bend and snap and everything else like that. And
Oh,
so
that's funny. All right.
Domo had like a temper tantrum and stormed off, and then all of a sudden nobody's spoons could bend anymore. It was Domo doing it the whole time. But yeah, it's the
You're
most
so
ridiculous
mad at
show.
other people's spoons.
It's the most ridiculous little show. It's like, and I'm sure it's made for children, but I
Oh,
laughed the hell out of it.
well, you know what?
I
I'll
love
probably have a
Domo.
look at it. I'll probably have a look at it through all the YouTubes and figure out what it is. And speaking of YouTubes, we're on YouTube right now, aren't we?
We are on YouTube.
So how does it feel back to be on the YouTube?
I mean, it's pretty good. I
I
mean,
get
if people out there are enjoying it, just be sure to drop a like, drop a subscription, whatever the hell it's called on here. I don't know what they're called. Follows.
You
They're
can sub
follows on Twitch. They're follows on Twitter and their subscriptions on YouTube. So I don't know what the hell that's all about, but
sub to Crumb.
it's so you can be notified when we go online. We're basically gonna be doing this show every week.
Yep.
We're gonna be doing this every Saturday about 5 p.m.
Yeah.
We're going for about an hour.
Ish.
Chat about whatever.
Ish. Yeah. Maybe it makes it a little bit longer depending on how the conversation vibe goes. I suppose.
And yeah, we also have a Patreon.
Oh, we do.
Yeah, we do have a
Oh, this is
Patreon.
news.
It's news. Yeah.
Oh,
So we have an exclusive Discord for Patreon members. Like $5 a month gets you into the Discord.
awesome.
That includes Twitch subscribers too. So if you're subscribed on Twitch, I've set it up so that you can get onto the Discord as well. So if you sub on Twitch or if you pay $5 a month to the Patreon, you don't need to do both. You
Yeah.
can get onto the Discord.
Cool.
Um, yeah, there's some perks there. Like basically, like if you subscribe to a high enough tier, you can be a guest on the show all the time if you want to. I mean, who wants to do that? But yeah, get that
My
money in
check's
there.
cleared.
Then
My check's cleared.
yeah,
But no, that sounds pretty cool.
I'm gonna drop it into chat here. So
All right. Well, maybe something I might add contribute towards that if I have the time. Maybe I could throw some exclusive Patreon videos with that as well.
yeah, there's gonna be exclusive content for the Patreons.
Yeah.
Basically, $3 gets you in the door. $3 gets you all of the content that we put out there for individuals to view. That's not going to be accessible anywhere else.
Yeah.
$5 gets you into the Discord. I don't remember exactly what the other tiers are. Basically, at
Yeah.
certain tiers, yeah, I didn't. I have to add a link to the video description
Yeah. Cool.
after this broadcast. But basically, certain tiers that you go to, they're going to get you access. So like one tier, which I think is like the $10 or $25 tier. I don't remember.
Hmm.
One of the two. One of the lower tiers gets you access to basically when we have specialty shows, when we have like a bunch of people on, you'll get
Yeah.
an invite for that, so you can get on for that. And then one tier, I think the highest tier, gets you on the show, gets you a link to every single show that we do to be a guest. So
Cool.
you can do that if you want. If you just want to hang out and support the show, $3, it's great. Three
Hmm.
dollars a month, that's fine.
Well, that's not
And if
bad.
you want to hang out in the exclusive Discord, it's kind of barren right now. It's just me, but I'm a pretty interesting person to talk to sometimes. We'll
Yeah.
have we'll have like we'll have like I don't know, um, streaming video days. What the hell those watch parties? We'll
Sure.
have like watch party. We'll have watch parties on Discord every so often.
You know what? I'm not on the
So
Discord, but that interests me, and I think I might just log in to see how that's working. Oh, who's this person? What do they want?
that's that. The Action Toys channel says you didn't add a
Yeah.
link to the video description. I'm gonna do that right now.
Yeah. Well, we'll basically figure all that out. And thank you very much for your comment. We do appreciate it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And goodness gracious. So yeah, so it sounds like a lot of stuff is happening with this little broadcasting here. Sounds absolutely fantastic.
No, it's working out pretty good. I mean, it's not something that's been going on for 50 years or anything like that. But I think we're doing pretty good.
I
I think
think
we're
we're
doing
off
pretty
on a
good.
I think we're off to a really good start.
Yeah. But speaking of that,
Hmm.
unfortunately,
Oh,
it comes to our last topic of discussion. I think for the day.
you think so?
I mean, just to give an update. So
Yeah.
I've been drinking the sparkling water version of this. It's not bad
And
actually.
I'm still drinking the straight stuff. So again, how is it? How is it different from the straight stuff I'm drinking?
So the straight stuff, it doesn't have that. Like, if you like carbonation,
Yeah.
it hits the spot.
Awesome.
It covers up the really bitter taste of the of the sparkling water.
Yep.
It gives that really nice gin taste. I'd probably add a bit more gin than I did, but like I did like two thirds water to one third gin type of thing. So I'd probably do half and half. But yeah, no, like I'm really liking it. It's got that nice citrusy kick. It's
Cool.
really really good. So if anybody's wondering what I'm talking about, again, not sponsored. We're not
Sponsored.
sponsored
I
at all.
was just gonna say that.
Dixon's Wicked Gin. So this was about $40 Canadian.
Yeah.
This was a 750 mil. So it's about I don't know. It's what, a 40, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, so Dixon's Wicked Gin is actually really really nice. If you like gin, if you're a
Yep.
gin drinker, it's going to be a little bit more lighter than what your normal gin
Yep.
is.
Mhm.
It's not as harsh. If you're not a gin drinker, this might be the gin for you.
Yep.
If you want to try and dip your toe in the gin, I think it's really really good. I mean, both on over ice, it was really nice, and it's a really nice complementary to carbonated water too. So
Over ice, it was nice. Such a
it's
poet.
true. It's very true.
Yep. 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 Well, that's pretty cool.
But speaking of drinks and
Yeah.
speaking about consecutive years of service,
I think I know where you're leading with this, counselor.
let's talk about a fall of a giant in the Kitchener Waterloo region.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, holy shit, what the hell has happened to Oktoberfest?
Well, it's kind of funny. As some people may know, besides doing Kitchener Comic Con, I also do some other initiatives like Kitchener Zombie Walk. And one of the few things I've been noticing over within, I'm going to say at least 10 years of shuffling around the downtown core, I've been
Yeah,
noticing bit by bit how the Oktoberfests have moved to other locations. And at the same time, straying away from the downtown core. And in my most humble, honest opinion, Oktoberfest for the region was a major event that you had to go to. Lots of fun stuff for the family, lots of fun stuff for the kids, a couple of brewskis for the adults, free food, stuff like that. Usually a really good
the cheap
atmosphere to be
food.
involved.
Yeah,
Yeah, a really good atmosphere to get involved with. And the thing is, again, this is a major tent pole event for the region of Waterloo. And last year, when I was downtown, it was only one day. They cut off King Street altogether. I talked to a couple of vendors, and for the vendors I was talking to, they were very polite because again, this is Oktoberfest. They weren't happy with what was going on, and on top of that, they moved the location to a new fancy dancy location, somewhere which is far away. I would say almost difficult to get to by public transit, and they had their Oktoberfest there for what their 50th year, 70th year, something like that. I
yeah,
think.
something like that.
Yeah, and the thing is that again, from everyone who I talked to, seemed to be very positive, but it really sounded like, in my opinion, once again, a lot of people forgot about the downtown community, and because of that, a lot of people got really upset. And for this year, especially with the pandemic going on, it's going to be really, really different how this year's Oktoberfest, because one of the few things that we showed in the paper, which is our Waterloo record right here. Basically, they said they're selling the building.
It's paper thin,
So
I
yeah, well,
guess. Yeah,
yeah, it's like really, really
yeah,
thin.
and they're selling their castle, which
Yeah,
has been a staple.
and the funny thing is, let's just take a step back from that just for 2 seconds. The funny thing is that most event initiatives have an office building, like throughout and through it. And basically, what Oktoberfest built was a gift shop where they keep their actual base of operations. But instead of building a normal building, they literally built a friggin' castle, and it looks awesome. And again, yeah, as we're saying there, Crumb.
It's crazy. So like, so I mean, I saw this writing on the wall years ago, because I mean, like, I thought to myself when I moved to this region,
Hmm.
I'm like, Oktoberfest is great, but literally, what is stopping insert bar name here from having their own Oktoberfest celebration? Like, they have their little houses and their little whatever else, HAUS for those who are counting. They
House,
have their houses, and,
house,
and like whatever else, and they sell tickets through whatever. That's great, but like, how is that a sustainable like how is that a sustainable model when, like, say, I don't know, Krabby Joe's, for example. um, Krabby Joe's can literally say, come celebrate Oktoberfest, we're gonna have $4 beers when
yep,
we normally charge 5.25, or
yeah,
like they will have $3 beers or something,
yeah,
and we're gonna sell schnitzel all day. Like, what's
yeah,
stopping them from doing that? And like, people are like, well, I like Krabby Joe's and I like their staff and I like their food. I'm gonna go there
yeah,
instead of paying like $40 to get a membership to Han's house or insert house here. Like it's like that never kind of got through to me. It's like, why would they? And here we are, a number of years later. From what I understand, last year's attendance was not very good.
yeah,
Like, last year's buy-in was atrociously bad in the
yep,
50-year history of Oktoberfest, which is like telling me that you have the core people who have been supporting Oktoberfest for a
yeah,
very, very long time, and it's a great event. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not trashing it at all. There's
yeah.
there's vendors, there's everything else, but they changed it so much in the past 10 years that it's unrecognizable from what it was.
You're absolutely correct. And also, allow us to just go back to your earlier statement we just said. Remember, the Oktoberfest initiative started where you didn't have a Krabby Joe's downtown. You did not have any of the bars that are currently down there at all. Like
Very true.
none of these places existed. The only way you could actually get a beer or eat schnitzel or any form of Oktoberfest sausage was to go to the beer hall and enjoy it there. Plus, on top
True.
of that, one of the major staples that was part of the whole Oktoberfest initiative is right where the light rail is, right on
Yeah.
Frederick Street. They basically made that into a huge beer tent. So basically went
Yeah.
downtown, you drank beer, you got involved with that, you had this and you had that, you had everything in between. And now you got now again you got the Duffs coming in. You got the different restaurants in the downtown core that simply weren't there 50 years ago, 20 years ago, or even 15 years ago. They're there the last 10 years. And the thing is, you're absolutely correct. What's stopping a major restaurant now basically kicking their doors open and say, hey, we're going to have Oktoberfest sausages for $2 and $2 a beer. Come on in.
Well, here's another part to that as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's been an event that's doing it way better than Oktoberfest has done in like the past 10 years that I've frequented Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
The Ribbon Beer Festival.
Well, there's that. And also on top of that, there's also the Jazz Fest as well.
Yeah.
And the thing is that because of the Jazz Fest, it's all based around the eccentric different independent bars downtown Toronto, downtown Kitchener. Because again, with that, you have the small bar, you put a jazz player in front of that, and it all works. The problem with Oktoberfest is that, especially in this region, everything has changed.
Exactly.
Again, the demographic when it first started 50 years ago, you may or may not know this, is that we had two major beer companies here in town. We had Labatt's and we also had Molson's.
Molson's,
And,
yeah.
and the thing is, again, these were major beer contributors. So the thing is that back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, it all made sense. But when the Bats left and Molson's left, it's like we still have contracts for them. But again, what's stopping McCabe's or any other major restaurants doing their own thing? The answer is nothing.
Nothing.
And at the same time here, which I've noticed from my own personal perspective, is that a lot of these major tent pole festivals almost operate the exact same way. And the thing is that back 10 years ago, if they would have kept some of the stuff downtown, I think that would give Oktoberfest a very unique aspect to it. But the thing is that they didn't. They just wanted to get away further from the downtown core. And on top of that, just before you jump in, all of the major beer halls start fighting with each other as well, which is like,
Exactly.
goodness gracious.
Well, that was going to be my point. It's like okay, I understand Oktoberfest is supposed to be a big community thing,
Yeah.
right? Which is great, but now you have competing beer halls literally across the city, across the region from each other.
It's a
Like,
Starbucks thing.
it's a Starbucks thing, yeah. So like when you have that, like I mean, like 20 years ago, I guess it made sense. But when you have like globalization that we have now, where we have like a pub on every corner, what's
Yeah.
stopping a pub on every corner from having a celebration like St. Patrick's Day?
There isn't one.
Like there isn't one exactly. So like you don't have a centralized location for Oktoberfest anymore because you lost it because of the LRT coming in. Like
Yeah.
you can't have that main central hub, that massive tent that blocks off King Street for 3 blocks.
Yeah.
You can't have that anymore. So what you don't all of a sudden you don't have your main event.
Yeah.
And so like you look, and I'm going to use Ribbon Beer Fest as a great example here. For Ribbon Beer Fest, I can go on my phone. Like I can go on my phone
Mm-hmm.
and I can buy tickets. Like I can buy tokens, right?
Yep. I remember wrestling that last year. Yep.
Yeah. So I can go on an app, I can buy tokens. I can walk down to Ribbon Beer Fest. I can enter for free if I'm over the age of majority.
Mm-hmm.
Or even if I'm not, because they only serve beer to people who have wristbands.
Mm-hmm.
I can prepay for the wristband on my phone right from my bank account. I can prepay for tokens right from my phone. I walk up, I get my wristband. If I see, hey, I really like what Waterloo Breweries has this year.
Oh, yeah.
That pineapple thing looks really cool. I want to try it. Oh, it costs 2 tokens. Great. Go on my phone, hit 2 tokens, boom, enter. I walk up, I show them my phone. They hit OK, and they give me a fucking drink.
Yeah.
Like that is ridiculously easy,
Yep.
and
And also
it's
on top of that,
safe.
if you want the tokens too, you can still get that as well.
Exactly. If you want the physical tokens, you can still get them. But
Yep.
like, in my opinion, that's better than
Yep.
walking to because like I don't know how they do it. I guess they do it like beer tickets in Oktoberfest too. I've
Yeah.
never gone in the tents. I've always just frequented the outside.
I've been in the tents once or twice. It's really it's like it's literally having a portable beer hall. See, the other thing I wish to add to your whole um what you just said as well is that on one side of the park, you have what? You have basically breweries coming up, you have gin people
Yeah.
coming up showing the products, you spend a couple of tokens, you get a sample. And what do you have on the other side of the park? Crumb, can you get in one?
You get fucking ribs. You get
Exactly.
food.
No. You don't get food.
You get
You,
amazing food.
you get some of the best goddamn ribs you probably had the whole year around because these
Yeah.
people cook these things all week long. And basically, they have the sauce on there. It's like 3 inches thick. And the thing is that you're just eating this stuff up. Plus, you get corn, you get stuff like that. And the funny thing is that, again, getting back to base, as I said before, why did people Oktoberfest start Oktoberfest? To celebrate the wonderfulness what Oktoberfest is. Over time, you're now paying $12 to get a beer. You're paying $18 for a freaking sausage. And the thing is that
Yeah.
you're missing out on all the fun. When we go to Ribs Fest, we're trying different beers, we're trying this, we're trying that. They got
It's not only that. You go to Rib Fest, you can get ribs, you can get brisket, you can get fresh, massive sausages. You can
yep,
go if you're not into that, you can
yep,
go and get freshly squeezed lemonade. You can go and get funnel cakes. You can
yep,
go and get insert thing here. Like I'm
exactly.
pretty sure there's one year there's a guy walking around with literal freaking pickle barrel. Like you can
Yeah,
literally go to these places and get so much goddamn food that you cannot get at Oktoberfest. Like in Oktoberfest, you have your street meat vendors,
yeah,
which is great.
yeah,
But like, if you want to get those, go to a fucking bar at 2 a.m. Like,
pretty
they're
much.
there. They're there. They're always there. But like,
Getting
give
back
me
to
something
base.
I can't get anywhere else.
Yep. And on top of that, those rib guys are only there for Rib Fest.
Exactly.
That's it. And the thing is, at the same time, you can have all the other restaurants as much as they want selling ribs, but they're not going to be the exact same ribs
They're
they have
not going to
down the
be.
park. Exactly.
They're not going to be the fucking like state winners from Georgia.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
like you can literally go and get like fucking like southern ribs, southern barbecue
Yep.
because these people are traveling. Like give me somebody from Germany coming to Oktoberfest and being like, "Hey, have this authentic sauerkraut or have this like German-made bratwurst or something." Like that would be amazing. But you don't get that. You get
No.
Oktoberfest sausage, which isn't even made locally anymore
No.
because Schneider's is gone. Like Maple Leaf is gone.
Yeah.
Like
Do
you don't even get this stuff anymore.
yeah.
Like,
As you said before, I believe we have front row seats of a fall of a temple titan because one of the few things that we talked about very briefly, even in Germany, they basically have canceled Oktoberfest due to the whole pandemic thing.
exactly.
And I really think that maybe the people at Oktoberfest, if they're watching this video, of course, maybe they take a step back, recalibrate why Oktoberfest is important to them, and basically come up with a whole new strategy how they can incorporate the downtown core, get the beer halls involved, and basically everything was just talked about. And by the way, we expect a check for our consultation here, so you can make it out to Crumb or Recep it,
Yeah.
and they'll be cashable. But however,
No,
yeah,
basically what I'm looking at here is like this is the fall of a giant. Like they've spent 50 years building this up for what? Like
yeah,
the 50-year anniversary of Oktoberfest. I mean, to give people an example, and I'm not even tooting our own horn on this.
yeah,
Kitchener Comic Con, all right, in the 50th year of Oktoberfest. So think of this one, all right? Year 50 of Oktoberfest.
uh-huh,
Kitchener Comic Con has an event earlier in that year. The following year, the Reader's Choice winner for best event, and this wasn't the record, so what is it is whatever.
it doesn't
But
matter.
the Reader's Choice pick for best event was Kitchener Comic Con.
Yeah, and also on top of that, due to the Reader's Choice Awards as well, we're also a finalist for Best Tourist Attraction. Like,
Yeah, so it's wild, absolutely wild.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, times are changing.
yeah,
We could be witnessing the fall of an empire.
Yeah, well, it's definitely going to be interesting because one of the things I keep saying is that you can't balance the books by selling off the assets, and that's kind of where I think where they're stuck. Plus, on top of that, in the paper, it also said that they have a whole new team that's
Yeah.
on board, and hopefully, they'll stay away from some of the traps that a lot of other conventions get into, and just basically focus on what makes Oktoberfest great.
Just give me
Because
1 second here. I'll be right back.
yeah, no problem. I'll keep an eye on things here, and basically from all of this, it's really tough to have an event, like Oktoberfest in this region because what's happening is that there's also a lot of other events throughout North America that are like Oktoberfest. I believe there's a thing like in California that also kicked in a little while ago as well, which was basically just copying the exact same model Oktoberfest. Basically, you get dad showing up with a barbecue. They cook some schnitzel, mostly like Oktoberfest sausage. Have some strange, unusual German beer there, and all of a sudden you get a couple of drunken people involved, and poof, you got Oktoberfest. But the thing is that for me, there's a lot of other things that goes in Oktoberfest than just drinking beer and eating sausage. There's an actual heritage aspect. There is a excuse me, there's a heritage aspect, there is a community aspect, and the thing is that it's really sad to see the Oktoberfest going down this way, and hopefully they can take a step back, recalibrate on why they wanted to move forward with this initiative.
Yeah, here's hoping,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah, and it's gonna be really really sad if this event decides to go sideways or it becomes a shadow of itself, and I don't know. I don't know, Crumb. I don't know what they could do in this aspect because, again, as we talked about very briefly here, you do have Rib Fest, you do have Jazz Fest, and the thing is that I don't know what's left for Oktoberfest because you can only listen to the polka so many times. You can only have so many Oktoberfest sausages without really having any zing behind it. And if Oktoberfest doesn't get back to its roots, what makes Oktoberfest fun?
Well, that's what I mean.
They're
Like,
going to be in a lot of trouble.
yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot that's just not resting on its laurels at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
and the Action Toys channel says Empires Fall, though owning a castle seems kind of fun. Wouldn't it
It
be?
does.
Wouldn't it be amazing if we could like
Oh,
fundraise some money to,
oh,
to make a Kitchener Comic Con castle?
that would be
Life goals.
yeah, that would be hilarious. The cat.
We'd have a space for a Ferris wheel outside.
Stop it.
Just saying.
I will go out with a tin cup and raise money if I have to just to get that friggin' Ferris wheel. But yeah, no, it's going to be interesting because again, when a door closes, a window opens, type of thing.
Well,
And
they are doing something. So this is a really weird thing.
yeah, what'd you hear?
Um, they are doing something online, kind of leading up to Oktoberfest.
Oh, you're talking about that Golden Keys thing?
I guess I don't know.
I
I,
think
I,
it's
I
taking
didn't read
place.
much on it, but
I think that's taking place today, if the date doesn't escape me. But at the same time, here it's like one of the few things about online events, especially online conventions, it's still new. People trying to figure out the Kentucky Fried Chicken recipe, and the thing is, there's gonna be a lot of fails until someone figures it out. One of the few things, again, not to tune our own horn, one of the few things that we've been doing with KCC, Kitchener Comic Con, for some time now is try to adapt more online. Uh, I don't want to say aspects, but there we go, programming. Like
yeah.
one of the few things I've been working on until you and the rest of the team start getting involved is actually streaming our panels live. At the same
Which
time.
at that point we should be having live panels next year. The one we did with Nick Ricada was like mint. It was on
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
So
and
it
the thing
worked
is,
out well.
and the thing is that this took us years to put together. But the thing
It
is that
did.
that is some of the steps that we have to do to be competitive to some of the larger conventions that are around. And plus, on top of that, that's just I don't want to say it's the future, but it's going to be a much needed component. Because one of the reasons why I started that up is I had a friend of mine that was living in Japan, and my friend really wanted to come to KCC, but couldn't because he's in Japan. But the thing is, at least we had some content online that he could watch and get involved with and communicate back and forth. And the thing is that I don't know if Oktoberfest could use that for the particular things as well. Because again, you know, how many times can you have the polka going on? Like there's they have to get back to base and figure out what makes Oktoberfest tick, what makes Oktoberfest work.
Well, and not to give out free advice
Yeah,
for
yeah. Sorry, I keep
Oktoberfest.
going into that. Yeah,
I'm going to get into a little bit.
yeah.
Not to give out free advice for Oktoberfest, but fucking modernize it. Like, there's only so many times you can hear the polka or like variations of it. Why not get in some other like German music, like stuff that we don't hear all the time?
Well, again, it goes back to
Why not
if
get like why not get Weird Al to come in and do a concert? You know,
whew, that would be kind of cool, and I think
wouldn't it?
that would work. But again, that's like a one stage act. But however, the thing is, what they have to do again is get back to base.
Yeah,
Get back to what makes Oktoberfest tick, what makes Oktoberfest stand apart from all of the other events and new events that are coming
yeah,
up. Because again, we're talking about, you know, 5 decades, 50 years of having this event up and working. And the thing is, they've done a lot of stuff and a lot of good for the community. But at the
yeah.
same time here, it's got to be more than just a bunch of people drinking beer, puking up the streets, and seeing their actual Oktoberfest sausages float by them.
Well, I mean, if it's any indication, look at this year,
Yeah.
the Ezra Street parties, they were shut down completely
Yeah.
because of COVID-19.
Yeah.
So I mean, like in this age, you have to kind of. I mean, we dodged a bullet with
Oh,
Kitchener Comic Con.
oh boy.
We dodged a huge bullet.
Yeah, I remember the two of us briefly, very briefly talking about this. Is it going to affect Comic Con? We don't
Yeah,
know. We'll tiptoe around it, see what happens, and we're fine. But every
just
other event,
squeaked past it, honestly,
yeah,
because there was concerns, there was talks about it, and all that other stuff. But I mean, we kind of got in right before all the big scare came in,
yeah,
and thankfully, like as far as I know, no one got sick. So like
yeah.
that was a big thing too. I mean, we didn't also have anybody from the affected regions that flown
No,
in,
no, no.
but yeah, no, we got that off just in time. And
Yeah,
but like looking at like something like the Ezra Street party, which happens every single year without fail.
yeah,
Like this year, nobody.
yeah,
It's like nobody at all, and like completely flatlined. So it's like, okay, well, you can have fun at home, you can have like fun drinking and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, what makes Oktoberfest? Sure, the drinking is one thing, beer is one thing, great. It's whatever else, but when it comes down to it, it's like hanging out and just having a good time and having good food. That's a big thing. And
yeah.
Blaze Firestorm 21 says only good thing in 2020 so far has been Kitchener Comic Con. Well, thank you so much for that. I
Blades, you
appreciate
know
it.
what? You are
It's been
super.
the only thing this year, but
And the thing is that I'm going to tell you, we're going to send you a little prize pack from us to you. We don't know how we're going to work this out yet. As you can tell, I'm receptive here on the YouTubes. Look for my message I post on here. Send me an email. We'll talk back and forth, and we're going to send you something because you've been absolutely fantastic through our broadcast. But however, Crumb, sorry for interrupting. Please continue.
yeah. I mean, like honestly though, like just to think of that, like we were kind of the last event to shut down the season, like before the season
It
went
was like
away.
to start the season.
Well, to start the
And
season and end the
close it.
season, but like the number one thing, the number one piece of feedback that I got, because we set up ways to give us feedback about the event and everything else like that. The number one piece of feedback that we got was that this event, like Kitchener Comic Con,
Mhm.
and again, not to talk us up,
Yeah,
Kitchener Comic Con reminded people what it was like to be at a convention for the first time,
yeah. Getting back to base.
getting back to basics.
Yeah. And also on top of that, something I haven't told you because I was waiting for the show to tell you about this, is that when I was standing in the massive lineup over at the land called the Dollarama, this guy comes up to me, really can't recognize him. He goes, "Hey, are you Mr. Hop?" I went, "Yeah, person I never met before." He goes, "You," and he goes, "Honey, that's the guy who runs the Comic Con in town." And I'm going, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." He said, "How's Cress doing? Is she feeling okay?" I went, "Yeah, yeah." Both Chris and I were really, really tired. We had it's been exhausting the last little while. We're going through some stuff, and it's but the thing is we're bouncing back. He goes, "That's great because I had a wonderful time at Kitchener Comic Con. are you guys been running at the same time next year? I said, well, we're still kind of running of it. Maybe April, maybe June. I don't know. But the thing is that pay attention to KitchenerComicCon.com and we'll update as much as we possibly can. He goes, yeah, we had such a great time. Yada, yada, yada. We can't wait for next year. We don't know what's going to happen, so forth and so forth. And this is after 2 to 3 months after our event.
I mean, like, this is the last taste in people's mouths for conventions, at least in this region.
Yeah.
It's the last taste of people's mouths, and it was a good one.
Yeah.
So
Everyone had
the thing, like, the thing that blows me away is like when people are coming up to the next event, they're going to be saying, "Okay, well, was it as good as Kitchener Comic Con?"
that's a weird thing to
That's a
say.
weird thing to say.
Really weird.
Like, it's super weird because like we're just going out here and just putting on an event. Like, we're not trying to be the next San Diego Comic Con. We're not trying to be the next Toronto Comic Con, whatever.
And the
Knox
thing is,
Fan Expo.
we can't,
And we can't.
and we're not.
No.
Yeah.
So we're operating within our means.
Yeah.
And I mean, next year we're going to try to do some. We're going to try to pull off some magic, whatever else we can do. Sure,
Yeah.
we'll try. But at the end of the day, we'll try to have a good show. We'll try to have a good time.
Yeah.
And the honest to goodness best thing, bringing in quality vendors, bringing in one or two guests that want to be there, that want to
Yeah.
see their fans,
Yeah.
and like that's our model right now. I mean,
And the thing is, at the same time, just having, I think going back even a step further,
yeah,
just having a good time,
just have a
just
good time.
bringing the funness of Canadian pop culture to the general public as much as we can, and just having a good time of it. That's pretty much the long and short of it. Because the thing is that if you have that, everything will work itself out. And at the same time, having team members you could rely on and support.
Well, the team's been fantastic. I mean,
Yeah, and it's not easy doing the things that we do, and it wasn't supposed to be easy. And at the same time, here we're just moving forward. It's sort of like we're running into our 6th/7th year now, and at the same time, we're looking back and going, "Where did the time go? This has slipped by so quickly," because we're having a lot of fun.
so we're having tons of fun.
Yeah,
I mean, and people that are going to the shows are having fun. And
yeah,
that's really what it matters
exactly,
most,
exactly.
is if your fans are having a good time.
Well, your fans, your clients, your colleagues, your friends, your family, like
Yeah.
all that matters. And yeah, and at the same time here, it's been quite the humbling experience this year. We
No, it definitely was.
just a lot of stuff that went on. It's it meant, like, the funny thing is I'm still not grasping the craziness that we managed to pull off. Like, again, had that idea for the lineup, all of a sudden it's just not there. It's there beyond what we thought it would be. And
Well, I mean, like, just
ugh,
harkening
yeah,
back to an earlier topic. Look at 10 years ago. When you build a convention 10 years ago,
yeah,
it's like I'm going to pay for a space. People are going to buy a couple tables. We're going to come in. We're going to swap anime. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Whatever else. We're going to sell some plushies. Great. There's a show.
flushes.
Now you fast forward to today. You can't. You have to think like 3 months ahead, if not a year,
Year and a half.
and plan for this shit. Like,
Yeah.
you have to plan for every single possible scenario
Yeah.
and be prepared for it. Like, it's
Yeah.
a lot more work than just. Here's the thing: like, there's a lot of people out there,
Yeah.
and there's a few people I'm talking to. There's a lot of people out there that think that running a show is just as simple as renting a fucking space and build it and they will come. But it's
Yeah.
not that fucking simple anymore.
No, it is
10 years ago, it was that simple. Like, flat out, 10 years ago, it was that simple. Not so much anymore.
20, 25 years ago. It was that even simpler to put it together.
Mhm.
And the thing is that times have changed. Like, as an example, with anime, it's like, what can you do when you start peaking? Like, the whole distributing system of what anime is, animation from Japan, and the rest of the quadrant within China there.
Well, I
Shit.
think that anime is a good example here. I think anime is a great example of the fact that, okay, everybody has reached a plateau, right?
Yeah.
So if everyone's on the same level, what makes you different than person B or anime B,
Yeah.
right? That's why you look at the things like JoJo's. That makes like, they're completely ridiculous,
Yeah.
but that makes them so much different than My Hero Academia,
Oh
for
yeah.
example.
Yeah.
Like those two completely separate things. They're both successful, and they're both on. I would argue on the same plateau, but
Yeah.
they're both interesting for their own reasons.
Yeah.
So when you come down to it, it's like, okay, well, how do you separate yourself? So like in a world where you have the fan expos of the world, where you have the San Diego Comic Cons, how can you stand out? Like, what is your retaining power for people? Why are people spending money on your event if they're spending money at all? Like, that's a question.
Yeah. You see, here comes the funny part. Within this very short conversation that we're throwing back and forth here,
Yeah.
I could honestly answer that question. But however, I think we should be paid.
I mean, yeah.
If we're gonna throw away this good advice, it's like no,
Well,
no.
unfortunately,
I think
unfortunately, as I
yeah.
have witnessed, we could write it down. We could write the Krabby Patty formula, release it on stream, and people would be like, "Those people don't know what they're talking about. Get out of here. We know exactly what we're talking about. We've been doing
Oh
this
yeah.
for 30 years."
I need some more gin. Yeah, exactly,
Like
exactly.
they like, come
I
on.
think I think that the real answer that I can give away is that I think each individual in each event needs to discover for their own what works for them and
Yeah.
move more towards that point, because we could throw this up there, we could say that, we could say that. You know what? It may not be the right answer for their particular event initiative.
Or their city, or their fan base, or their community.
With all those demographics plus more. The thing is that we don't know the full answers, and when it really comes down to it, it goes
Yeah.
back down. The one thing we can say, it all depends on what makes them happy, why they start this stuff in the first place. Also, on top of it, this is the hard question: is it still relative, especially in today's ever-growing and changing times? Like, could anyone predict that here, like not just here in North America, but around the planet, that a virus would just shut everything down? Like, conspiracy theorists been talking about a while. Basically, cinema's been talking about this for some time now, on and off through different movies and different books and stuff like that. But no one really saw this coming or predicted coming. Some people were prepared for it because they're a little local in the old brain pan. But long story short,
Oh,
no one.
going back to Sonic, for example, because that goes full circle.
Oh,
The crazy homeless man
ah,
who who was talking about the Blue Devil, and no one believed him.
exactly.
And here it is. It's our Blue Devil. I mean, this is the
Yeah,
coronavirus, right?
yeah, pretty much.
Because no one
See, I've
predicted
been
it.
telling you all about this, but no one believes me. But there it is.
Put down the chainsaw. Put down the chainsaw.
And listen to me, unless you want to get into a fight. Yeah, no, it's just yeah, it's just it's really weird how things will
Yeah.
come around. Well, I personally think that our little event will be okay. We germinated quite well. We have a lot of good people looking out for what we're trying to do, and people get it. And the thing is, at the other events, they need to go back to base and figure out what made their event work. And I think it's once they figure that out and move forward. Oh, what's this?
Action Toys channel says, "Man, I wanted zombies."
Well, hey, my dear, we did have dress up as a zombie and get a free VIP pass this year. And you ready for it?
We had the Walking Dead Sunday, so
And the funny thing is that people dressed up and people did their thing. As a matter of fact, we had Kitchener Zombie Walk's top number one costume contest winner coming as well. The zombie Joker, I believe the character was, and that was fun to see.
that was from the Zombie Walk one. Yeah,
Yeah, and also the way I look at it is that what's good with a convention without zombies? You have to have that.
it's
Just
true.
eats everyone, and then everyone goes home. Type of
Well,
thing.
sorry, we had Sunday of the Living Dead. I
Yeah,
think that was a pretty good one.
I
You
thought so.
gotta say, Sunday of the Living Dead was pretty
Sunday in the
on
Living
point.
Dead.
It was pretty on point. But
Yeah,
no, we had the zombie walk. I mean, that's a small initiative that we had. Emeco's mini convention is
yeah.
a small initiative.
No,
Things
it's
like
not
that.
small.
It's
It's mini.
Mm, it's mini. I know we had the conversation before.
Just
That's
plug it in.
honestly so deep lore for all those people out there. That's actually how we came up with the idea for Kitchener Comic Con,
Oh Jesus!
because we sat down in Krabby Joe's, and I say to this gentleman to my right here that I'm like, because he's like, we have to get people to take Emiko's mini convention more seriously, and I'm like, dude, I'm like, you need to drop the mini.
And I'm going,
Like,
nope, nope.
I'm like, people aren't going to take it seriously when you're running a mini convention.
And of
If
course,
you want it to be taken as seriously, I'm like, it needs to be a convention.
and the funny thing is, I said nope because reason being is that that's part of that brand. Plus,
And
on top of
yeah, and he was saying
it,
it's like, oh, it's part of the moniker, you know, it's part of the
exactly,
brand. It's a mini
exactly.
convention, you know, blah blah blah.
Things
I'm like,
hold on. It's a brand.
it's a brand.
It's a
So
brand.
I told him, I'm like, all right, well, if you're not willing to drop the mini convention, I'm like, then just start up a fucking comic book convention. I'm like, you could literally slap Kitchener in front of Comic Con, and you could have a convention. And his eyes just fucking lit up. He's like, let's just do it then. I'm like, all right, let's make Kitchener Comic Con.
And of course, the funny thing is that when I was talking to the people at City Hall back in 2014, I was working with this really good friend. His name's Brian Scott. They go, so Ron, what are we going to call this thing? And of course, I'm racing through my head, and I went, Kitchener Comic Con? Cool, no problem. Written down. The next thing you know, the whole thing's history.
We went from a 1 day event to a 2 day, and it's been blowing up ever since. I mean, learned a lot from last year about what we should do.
And we learned a lot for the year before that, and the
Yeah,
year before that, and the year
yeah,
before that. And at the same time, we've been in this region for at least 10 years putting events together, regardless of how big or mini it might be.
yeah.
And the thing is that we learned a lot from everything. And the thing is that we're very humbled. We know where we came from, and just
We're
keep moving.
never gonna forget that either. By the way, folks, like, let's make that very clear. We're never gonna forget where we came from. We're always gonna remember the little people and everybody else,
Little people.
and the big people and the
Oh, yeah. Don't be size
and the
racist.
tall and the thin people. It's fine.
Yeah.
We're gonna remember everybody,
All sizes. Exactly.
all sizes.
Yeah.
But no, we're gonna remember everything.
Chicks,
So
creed, yada yada yada. Yeah, yeah. And also, you know, the funny thing about doing a mini convention, there, Crumb, you could set one up anytime.
well, we were actually thinking, because of the whole coronavirus stuff, when the restrictions start to get lifted, possibly holding a picnic event. I mean, if the weather is still
Oh,
good
yeah.
by that time. I mean, my
Yep.
estimation, we're going to be seeing probably until, like, restrictions until about June, maybe
Yeah.
July.
Yeah.
But like, have a free fucking potluck picnic event in the park. Get people excited about going back outside.
Kitchener potluck. That's at Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing
And
is
just
that
like,
that's definitely
dress up in a costume, or don't, or just like
yeah.
come out and bring a bag of chips, or bring a bottle of pop, and everyone can just kind of
Chill
go
out.
from there and chill out and have fun.
Well, the thing is that I want to move on that as soon as possible once the how many people could come to a gathering has been lifted. Because again, from that,
Yeah.
we're just a bunch of people getting together. We don't have to worry about insurance. We don't have to worry about licensing. It's just basically us just chilling out, eating some potato chips, playing some stupid park games, and that's it. And also on top of that, if I'm not mistaken, that's the first time you and I met. So I think it's a really good way to get some
Well, it's
social.
the first time that you met Chocoboto.
Well, yeah. Wait a second. You know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. I mean, that would be fun. And I think next year, what we were thinking of doing for Kitchener Comic Con, because we don't know where Diamond Distributing is going to be in a year.
Yeah.
We don't know if there is going to be a free comic book day next year.
Well, again, the whole
So
thing's changing.
we're gonna have our own free comic book day. Like, this is something that's rubber stamped. We're gonna do.
Yeah.
Like, come hell or high water, we're gonna do it. We're gonna have our own. We're gonna host our own free comic book day, and that's gonna be a thing.
Oh, the work you make me do, Holmes.
Well,
But yeah,
it'll put our. I mean, if we haven't already put our city on the map, it's gonna put our city on the map
yeah. Well,
again.
we're gonna have more work to do, but this is work I do lovingly, and I do it with fun and grace. So, it's
Well,
really
we do it to bring people quality, right?
well. I think we also do it because it's fun to do. Also, who else is going to do it?
Well, and nobody else steps up to do it.
Yeah.
So I mean, we have we have the method, we have the means, we have the operation.
And don't
Let's
forget
do it.
about the madness.
Well, that's just
Oh,
part,
yeah.
that's part and parcel.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's part
But
and parcel.
yeah, but no, we're definitely going to do what we always do. put on a good event,
Yeah.
and have a lot of fun in the interim. And I think that's very, very important. At least we know what our base is moving forward. Hopefully, other event coordinators are listening to what we're saying, or maybe they're not. Who knows?
Well, I mean, like we can only control our event. I
Yep.
mean, like
Exactly.
we want Kitchener Waterloo to be an amazing place.
Yep.
We want to rival Toronto.
Yep.
We're big enough.
And we want to rival it in our own way, not compare zeros and ones. We want to do it
Yeah.
differently because that's also needed. Because the thing is, everyone's doing the same fucking thing. Why bother traveling? Why bother going from one region to another region? Like, doesn't make sense. Like, oh, there's Comic Con Toronto, oh, there's Comic Con Hamilton, oh, there's Comic Con Niagara Falls. What's
Well,
the difference between all of them?
there is no reason why Kitchener, Waterloo, Guelph, and London cannot like amalgamate to make great fucking events to
Well,
rival Toronto.
well,
Like,
yeah,
there's no reason. I mean, like population wise, I think they might have a slight edge on us. The GTA might have a slight edge, but like Kitchener, Waterloo, Guelph, Cambridge, and London,
yeah,
probably pretty close
hmm,
in terms of population, and in terms of like the quality of events that we put on. Like, I mean, like unfortunately, for City Comic Con had to cancel.
yeah.
Unfortunately,
That's
London
that's
Comic
true.
Con I think had to delay.
Yeah,
But like, I don't want to see events canceled. I don't want to see events delayed. I
yeah.
want to see events go on because honestly, that strengthens Southern Ontario, specifically Southwestern Ontario, because that's where we reside. That strengthens our clout in the community to get guests in. I
Well,
don't want to see I don't want to see conventions canceled. I don't want to see conventions acting a fool. I don't want to see like things delayed or, mismanaged. I want to see good conventions because if we had that fucking happen to us like year 2.
yeah,
We had so
yeah,
to give people an idea, we had a band. I'm not going to specify what they were.
yeah.
We had a theme band lined up to be part of Kitchener Comic Con, I think year 2.
You got it.
And there was a convention that was happened before us.
Yep. Naming no names.
No names.
Yep.
No, it's not running anymore anyways. It doesn't matter. But we had a convention that ran before us that had this band at their show, and they performed so badly. Not the band, the convention. The convention brought in so little people because they were completely mismanaged,
Yeah.
and they had a really really difficult time bringing in anybody. They performed so poorly that the band came to us and said, "If we're coming back to your city, we want $500."
500.
Well, I don't know what it was.
It was a lot more than that.
Well, it was a lot more money. But basically, they wanted money. When
Yeah.
initially they said, "Yeah, we'll come in and do your show for free."
Yeah.
No problem. Like, and we offer them money, of course.
Yeah.
Like we offer them like a share of the profits. But like basically they're like, "No, we're happy to come in for free and perform."
Yeah.
But after that show, they're like, "No, we want hard cash to
Yep.
come into that city again." And it
Pretty
was like,
much.
it wasn't our fault. Like we didn't destroy that performance. It's just they had a bad taste in their mouth after that. And it's like,
Yeah.
well,
And the thing is that we told them that, we might not guarantee the numbers from the previous year, but these were previous year numbers. And basically by mathematics and stuff like that, we should have at least half of that this year, which was a lot more than what the other event had. I
well, I
mean,
mean, and
I mean,
looking at
that's fair.
numbers, because we haven't obviously, unfortunately, we haven't had the ability to speak to City Hall because
Yeah. Well, the shutdown.
their operations are
Yeah.
very limited right now. But just eyeballing it, all right,
Yeah.
we had like what 12,000 last year, roughly,
Something like that.
something like that over the weekend, which
Yeah.
is like incredible.
Yeah.
Um, Saturday alone, Saturday alone, we probably had anywhere from 50% to twice as many people
Oh yeah.
as
Yeah.
we did on the Saturday alone. We had about the same number on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, basically, from what I'm hearing every single year, our vendors are happy. They're making more money. They're just unfortunately a little upset because they need more people to sell things for. I mean, help them sell stuff.
Well,
And
that's what I
these
mean. It's
are
like
all good problems.
I would not be surprised if the numbers this year, like for 2020's Comic Con, turned out to be like 15,000. It would
Well,
not surprise me,
quite possibly.
which is amazing considering the size that we are, which is not a very big it's not a very big Comic Con.
Yeah, and at the same time, I'm almost at the point that do we need a big number if we keep succeeding the previous numbers? Like we're honestly growing every
We are.
single year. Like getting back to my story before, as you said before, we had 3,000 in our first year, and at the same time, I said, look, we can't guarantee that 3,000 because it's a free event. We don't know what's going to happen. And what happened that year? We grew to 5,000, and unfortunately, that band missed out on the raw opportunity to expand their particular music and their particular, stuff to a whole new audience. It's like, well, you missed it.
When we have, so just
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
not my words.
Yeah.
When we have Kitchener events, the people who literally run every single event that goes through City Hall and downtown,
Yeah.
when we have Kitchener events telling us, wow, this is really packed.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
And
know
you-
what to say.
And you got the fire marshal keeping an eye on things, willing to lock that door down.
Yeah.
And also they had the signs out saying that, you have to shut down the building.
Have you ever seen, so like, and getting back to like year over year. So last year's what the heck is it? Costume contest, the next top cosplayer.
Mhm.
Last year's next top cosplayer, it had a bit of a crowd.
Mm-hmm.
This year's next top cosplayer had a fucking crowd,
Yeah.
and to end off the show. So basically, the impromptu concert that Vic Mignogna put on.
Yeah.
I have never seen people whip out cameras before.
No.
There is so many
second,
people
for a second.
recording that.
Wait a second. Stop for a second. There's something else that you're missing. Very important. Before the cameras were whipped out, the dead silence. Everyone
Everyone.
stopped.
There was
Everyone-
people hanging over the balcony.
Exactly. And then they whipped out their cell phones to capture yet another moment that we brought to them at a zero cost point.
A moment.
That's right.
Like that's what I mean. It's like we brought together moments. And I hate to like pump the tires of this event. I really do, because like I don't want to make it to seem bigger than it actually is.
Yeah.
But we had so many moments this year.
Yeah.
From the fucking lineup that went out the door,
Yeah.
up the goddamn staircase.
Yeah.
We had when Vic Mignogna addressed the crowd,
Yeah.
when we had him singing to the audience,
Yeah.
and the entire convention just stopped.
Yeah.
Like to the chanting "We stand with Vic" that you could hear clear across the venue,
And
right to the entrance.
and outside the doors.
Like, it was an absolutely incredible. I don't know if we could repeat that,
Wait a
to be
second.
honest.
Wait a second. Yeah, we can. We'll figure it out.
Like,
We'll have
those
other moments.
those are the moments that define shows.
Oh, yep.
And like Blaze Firestorm 21 says, we stand with Vic.
Yep.
Who stand with Vic?
Vic.
We stand with Vic.
Who stands with Vic?
We stand with Vic.
Yeah.
Exactly. That was fucking electrical. I was in that room when that chant started, and I couldn't fucking hold back the tears.
Yeah.
It was electric.
I know.
And I cannot tell you the last time that I was at a convention when something like that happened.
Well, something I'll share with you and the rest of our viewing audience here. I don't say this too often, but it's giving credit when credit's due. There's this convention called oh shit. It's the tip of my tongue. It's gonna drive me nuts. Oh, it's Mark's show.
Con Bravo.
Thank you. Calm Bravo. There was an honest, generalized moment where the video game nerd was meeting the nostalgia critic. And the thing is that was a huge, huge moment. And the thing is that there were
Gonna be right back.
Yeah, no problem. Basically, where they were located was in between two hotels. So what happened in this particular venue is that this hotel is a Holiday Inn. So you have like the new hotel they built off to the right, and they have the old hotel built off to the left. And between the two, they put this dome thing with a nice little garden and stuff like that. But the cool part was is that you had balconies going all the way up that were outside of the previous building, and you have like a couple of rooms that had balconies that were part of the new one. The cool part was is that you had every balcony was full of seeing this panel that took place. And the thing is that it was this huge giant chant for critic versus nerd. And that was probably one of my very first real, I want to say real, no, yeah, I'm going to say real moments that took place. And when I was, you know, part of that convention for a brief time I was, um, it was something that I never thought I'd see again. But the funny thing is that at this year's Kitchener Comic Con, um, we had our own special moment, which was just as electrifying as the one at Con Bravo. And I never thought that we would ever have anything like that. Not to say that our own team members couldn't generate that or we couldn't bring it forward, but again, as Crumb was saying here, it was truly a spontaneous. You can't capture it in a bottle or duplicate a moment because it was there. And then what happened after that? On Sunday we had Vic come out playing his three songs, giving us like a mini concert, and thus us showcasing one of the few things that I wanted to have, um, which was showcasing Vic's other talents outside of his voice acting. And again, when he starts singing, you could hear a fucking pin drop. Everything stopped. And the thing is that again, we just like at Con Bravo, when you had the balconies, you had people just stopping, looking over, seeing what was going on, and everyone taking out their cameras and just recording it. Another instant classic, to borrow a term, and no one could ever have that again. They could try to duplicate it, but it'd be forced. And what's going on here?
So Place Force 21 says that Con Bravo with AVGN, Angry Video Game Nerd,
Yeah.
was the last convention my dad went to with me before he passed.
Oh fuck. I'm sorry, man.
I mean, that's good memories, though.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
good memories, though.
It is, and I'm really glad you and your dad had a good time there. Again, I that was my last convention that I worked with Con Bravo too, and it was electrifying. But again, with KCC this year, it's a different vibe, but just as important. And it
Well, it's
really,
it's
wow,
and like that moment, right? Like that moment with Blaze Firestorm,
yeah,
that sticks with you.
oh yeah.
Like that stays with you for years.
And I don't think Con Bravos have another moment since then.
I can't think of anything.
Yeah,
I can't think of anything memorable.
yeah.
I mean, like, our goal would be okay. We've done it. Let's do it again. Let's do it better.
Well, we'll figure something else out because if us just duplicating that wouldn't be true to what we're saying and doing. And I think it's pretty important to keep the genuine aspect of what the essence of our events are. And at the same time, we'll have other moments and make that all
Yeah.
work. All right.
And
What's this guy?
he's saying that he had the best time. He was in no pain as he was in a wheelchair.
That's cool.
So that's good memories.
Oh, stop. You're going to make me cry, guys. But yeah, no, the thing is, it all comes back to those moments, doesn't it?
It really does. And honestly, so many memories that came out of Kitchener Comic Con, both at the show, outside of the show,
And still continuing on.
and still
Like,
continue.
like the thing is that, again, I'm not holding on these little nuggets because it's really cool to show on our show. But it's like, listen, if people hated our shit, they wouldn't come up and say we had a great time. And that's that Mr. Hop guy who runs the Comic Con thing here in town. And when's next year's show's going to be? Like you don't hear a lot of that anymore.
You're becoming a household name at this point. I mean, it's just like, it's wild.
Yeah, and
It's wild.
At the same time, we're really putting it together, and we're really going back to the things that really matter and count. And there'll be hiccups. There'll be people not seeing eye on things, but that's okay. That's all part of the process, and we have that. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, no, I think the entire team did an incredible job this year putting everything on. I mean, every
Especially
facet of
most of
it.
it on the fly. Like my goodness
Yeah.
gracious, as we talked about, we're like 4.5 hours behind and everything, but we still managed to pull it off. Oh, what's going on here?
Blaze Firestorm says Ron, not that one.
Ah!
Not the toy run.
Thanks, Nikki. Yeah, that's one of
It's
my
so
other
funny.
nicknames I have online.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, also, giving credit due, meeting Nick was also pretty good. It was
Yeah.
it was definitely lots of fun.
Like
Meeting with
it was an incredible weekend,
Yeah, and at the
honestly.
same time, all of our cosplay guests that were there, including the ones that didn't work out so well, they were great too. Oh God, what's this now?
The Action Toys channel says I missed the con this year, but all my friends tell me about how great it is. Well, you just got to come next year.
Yeah,
That's all it is. You just got to be out next year.
yeah. And at the same time, I'm coming very close of making a biopic slash documentary about this
Honestly, it
year's
would make a
event.
great. It would make. Yeah, I mean, people think Tiger King is like spicy.
Oh Jesus
We may not have Carol Baskin, but boy howdy, do we have some characters?
Oh, there's a lot going on this year. My
Yeah,
goodness gracious. But
we have some characters.
we have a few characters, all right.
No, I think it would make for very entertaining viewing. I
I
mean, if
think
there's any aspiring directors out there that want to take on the story, more than happy to tell it. But
Kitchener Comic Con, 6th edition.
against all odds,
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah.
But no, a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff. And I'm hoping that the people from Oktoberfest is listening to our over gushing feels from this year's event. And
Like I hope that this reaches people who might have started events, who might think of starting events, or whatever else, and
yeah.
like we're not telling people never to start an event. That's
No,
never.
God, no, no. Yeah, you have to go out and blaze your own trail. And
Blaze your own trail is
yeah,
what we're trying to say. It's like, you know what? Y'all know what it takes. Like everybody out there knows what a successful convention is, right? Because you've all been a part of one, at least one in your life. So find the best parts of conventions that you like and try and emulate that.
and at the
It's my
same time,
best way to describe it.
and one of the few things I'll add has a little asterisk here. Do it your own way. Don't copy other people's formulas. Just go out and do it. Be original. Bring originality to the forefront, and everything
Yeah,
will fall into place. And the thing is that if it doesn't come together, it wouldn't be from a lack of trying. And if you have that, then it's cool. Like getting back to one of our earlier conversations, I really wish that the conventions in Southern Ontario would work together more often.
it
Reason
would be an incredible time.
it would be because the thing is that we look stateside and we see, like, again, the San Diego Comic Cons, we see the New York Comic Cons, we see the Pennsylvania Comic Cons, we see the Dallas Comic Cons. And the thing is that, again, there's so many populace that's down there. Each of those events could work. But here in Southern Ontario, we're really in a small space. And at the same time, we're not really fighting over the same type of clients because, again, each region is different to their own. But the thing is that if we had that open communication back and forth, we can make each individual event unique and special. And at the same time, if everyone's working together, we could build all of us up versus crabs in the bucket tearing us all down because there's enough fucking money out there if we want to talk about financial gain.
Well,
But the thing is that, again, it's time. It
and
really is
and
time.
to add on to that, just as like as another part to that,
Yeah.
because the contracts executed now. We finished with Vic, right? I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying like we'd be happy to have him back next year, and he'd be happy to come back next year. But our contract this year is finished with him, so I can talk a little bit about it.
Yeah.
When we signed Vic Mignogna, so normally conventions have a thing where you have to
Yeah.
have an embargo 6 months before, 6 months after, right?
Yeah.
So if you sign with a convention, you're not allowed to be at another convention within X amount of miles for X amount of time.
Yeah.
We waived the 6 month requirement after our event. We said to Vic, just don't be at a convention locally before 6 months of our convention. Will be your debut one in Canada this year.
Yeah.
And after our event, you're free to sign with literally any other Canadian event anytime, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
Because we want number one, we wanted Vic to get more shows.
Yeah.
That was primary. We wanted Vic to get more of an audience, more chance to see his Canadian fans. Number two, after the success or failure, because we didn't know at the time,
Oh yeah.
after the success of our show, we wanted other Canadian venues to potentially benefit from that.
And the funny is, do you remember what I said at the time when it brought that to my attention? Do you remember?
Not off the top of my head.
I wasn't pleased with that.
Yeah,
I'm
you
like,
weren't happy.
what the fuck is this? We're spending like, again, we're spending all this money, putting all this time into this. What the fuck are we doing? This is dumb. And he went, just think about it. I went, all right. Stomped up the stairs, went to my room, fell asleep, woke up the next day, and went, okay, I get it.
I mean, this is
Cool.
before taking into account any coronavirus stuff. Because
Oh
back
yeah,
when we were back when we signed him, it was back in December. I think it was like December 13th. So we had waited a long time to announce him, but we decided as well before anything happened with coronavirus. So
yep,
our thoughts were we want to help out other Canadian venues. So like the next one to pop up would be Toronto Comic Con. And if Toronto Comic Con wanted to sign Vic Mignogna,
uh-huh.
he was open to go there if they wanted to sign him.
And
If he
also,
wanted to go to like insert convention here, he could have gone to it. I
yeah,
mean, like with
and
coronavirus, it's kind of put a wrench into things. But even still, if
yeah,
there are other conventions that are opening up in say September that otherwise would have been blocked out by our time embargo, they can still sign him.
yeah,
And they know now, they have on fucking paper, they have how much of a success he is and how little risk he is. We had zero, none, zero incidents,
yeah,
none, not a single one,
yeah,
no problems.
yeah, and also, Chris, something else I wish to bring to the forefront, harking back to one of our original secret recipe mission statements.
Yeah.
We wanted to generate opportunities for everybody, not just for our own selfish success, because it's been so easy to lock things in, lock things down, go to the right side of my brain and say, this is the way we're going to fucking do it. And this is how it's going to be moving forward. And the thing is that I know that would piss you off some ways from Sunday, but you would understand and move forward from that point. Whenever I looked at it, I went, that's one of our mission statements, generating opportunities. And the thing is, a lot of conventions, especially in Ontario, are just so butt clenching on the holding on to that opportunity. They don't want anyone else to have it. And because
Well,
of that, that's what's screwing a lot of things up in Southern Ontario.
what a lot of people fail to understand is that an opportunity in Hamilton is an opportunity in Toronto, is an opportunity in London, is an opportunity in Niagara Falls, is an opportunity in Kitchener Waterloo, is an opportunity in Barrie, is an opportunity in Midland, etc. Like
Midland.
we are
Yeah.
not the United States. The
No, we are
United
not.
States has an incredible track record of support for any event that or initiative that they put in there. Like you
Yeah.
can put in literally anything. You can put in state fairs, you can put in whatever. People will go to it because they're patriotic and they support that shit. Canadians not so much because we're very wary about where we spend our dollar. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with either approach, but it's understanding it's like okay, well, this is the world we live in. Like more people are apt to go to a convention in Toronto because it's Toronto. More
Yeah.
people are apt to go to a convention in Montreal because it's Montreal. Less people are apt to go to a convention in Kitchener because well, it's not Toronto.
Exactly. Yep.
And like what we have done in the past 6 years of running Kitchener Comic Con, we have established, not only established the identity, because the identity of Kitchener has been
Yeah.
there for years. We have broadcast the identity to the rest of the freaking province and said, no, this is what we are. We're more than just, you know, Oktoberfest. We're more than just jazz festival.
Yeah.
This is what we are.
Yeah. And we're going to be here for as long as we want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. The
Oh,
Action Toys channel says Vic's success is great news, but did people trying to cause drama have any effect? Not those weirdos from the United States.
oh,
Absolutely.
oh boy. Did those weirdos have any effect? Yeah, they did. They brought more people to the event.
No, no, no. I mean, aside from that, too,
Yeah.
yes, they absolutely had an effect. They made us more motivated.
Yep.
They
And we
they
locked things down
put a
more.
fire under our ass to be the best we could possibly be.
Yep.
And so, like, I'll go out and say it. I'll say thank you for the motivation. Thank you for keeping us honest.
Uh-huh.
Because without that, I mean, like, we could fall into complacency. So
Yeah.
absolutely, we need to be challenged. Every single year, we need to be challenged. And every single year, we have risen to that challenge, and we have knocked it out of the fucking park. But the fact of the matter is, it's like, yeah, those people do have an effect. They said this and that and everything else. They said like all of these protests were going to happen. They said all this terrible stuff was going to happen.
It,
At
it
the
did.
end of the day,
It did. Just the wrong day.
well, yeah, it was the what Sewican protests.
You got it. You got it. I had to throw a little joke in there. Sorry.
That was funny. We actually did have protesters the day before the convention, which were
Exactly.
not protesting the convention; they were protesting the pipeline in the west.
And we got pictures.
And we got pictures, and we actually invited them, and they actually did come and enjoy the convention, so that was
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
But no, basically, these people that were not happy with us, not happy with our event initiative, not happy with our staff, they go out of their way to do all this stuff. It just motivates us.
Yeah.
It just like it's like, okay, well, I guess we got to be honest. Can't cut corners
Yeah.
because we know the second we cut corners, they're going to be on top of us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, thanks to them, I guess,
Well,
for forcing us to be a little bit more honest about it.
yeah. And also, when it really comes down to it, it's also, these individuals that had concerns, and unfortunately, they didn't go about it. How can we say the most professional way and talk to us? Decided to yell at the clouds, and
Yeah.
we listened to exactly what they're saying. We took a lot of concerns into full consideration, and because of that, the only thing that we're missing at this year's event was the Canadian Armed Forces coming in to keep an eye on things. Like we had, like City Hall provided more security. We had our own security. We had the Waterloo Regional Police there as well. Like there was a lot of things happening behind the scenes that would devastate a lot of people. But we took that as a very good friend of mine always keeps saying, "Hotter the flame, the harder the steel."
The hotter the
So
flame, the stronger the steel. Yeah.
yeah, and the thing is that we took it and we looked at it and said, "This is not bad for a sauna," and we took it before we owned it, and we went forward and we put the best things in play that could not be, could be looked at. And what I mean by that is that there was no more, there was nothing more that we could have done. We did it all, and everything was in place, and we made sure that our event was as safe as we possibly can. And this is the important part: without taking the fun away from the convention people that showed up. That was very key for me, and basically we did that in spades. And the thing is, the police were there; they were selling little husky plushies, which was awesome. They took some pictures. Here's the best part: with Vic, basically having fun and everything else like that.
And part of that as well, it kind of like we've always kind of wanted to include that, but we just didn't really either find the time or find the way to do it.
Yeah.
But everything that pushed us to do new things, right?
Yep.
So we went out and found out. It's like, all right, well, we're going to carve time out. We're going to find out how to get them in there. We're going to say, we want you in here, and everything else like that. These people that have tried to sabotage for years and years and years, they keep trying, and they just keep making us better because it's challenging us to be better than what we are, which is fine. But the other part is, it's like, yeah, they tried to sabotage our funding
Yeah.
and I mean, we're not sponsored by the city. We apply for a community grant.
Yeah.
Just so that's out there. We apply for a community grant, and that's not something that's guaranteed. That's not something that it's a sponsorship. It's not money we get in our pocket. It's an in-kind grant. As far as I'm aware, that went through this year,
Yep.
in spite of literally everything that had been said about us and
Not
this hate campaign that's been going on for decades. Literally, all of that shit. They went through and apparently approved it. I mean, I don't know for sure guys. I haven't spoken to them, but we have the
two
email.
readings, two approvals.
Yeah, we have the email. But basically, it's like, I guess we're doing something right.
Yeah. Because the thing is,
The Kitchener events, when they were there, had no complaints, had no
yeah,
issues. They were impressed with how we handled everything.
yeah,
And I mean, being present in that meeting before the event, before the show, being present at that meeting, the degree of tension in that room, it would probably kill somebody if you cut it with how tightly it was wound.
yeah.
But the fact that we came through and we delivered, and they were there to see the entire thing, despite all of their protests. And I'm saying protests in terms of like they
People
didn't want,
stuff.
not people showing up and protesting and picketing, but
God no. Who needs that headache? And the thing is that it made a lot of
is
people.
it? I thought I didn't. I thought I marked
Oh,
it not for kids.
oh, what's this?
It's Action Toys channel saying it's my stream's marked for kids. I thought I marked it not for kids.
Oh, we could come back and fix that. I'm pretty sure it's only clickly clacking of a GUI
Yeah.
button.
So he was like, "What's Grum up to today?" We're chilling.
Yeah,
We're chilling.
we're all relaxing, doing some broadcasting here.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah,
marked. It's marked not made for kids.
all right. Well, I don't see what this is. I guess because we're swearing every once in a while. But however,
Well, it's an important thing for COPPA. We don't want to be put in YouTube jail. So
oh Jesus, yeah. But however, long story short, getting back to what we were saying before, here's the bottom line. Bottom lines. People are looking very silly online. They really, really are. And the thing is, it's very unfortunate because I keep saying if we all work together, could have been a lot more. And the thing is, it's hard to manage what more would look like at this stage of the game, especially all the work we put into things.
well, my biggest. I mean,
Oh well.
there was so many amazing points to this year,
Yep.
and I hate to say that there's disappointments. It's nothing to do with our show,
No.
because the show didn't disappoint me at all.
Yep.
There were certain individuals that disappointed me,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely,
Yep.
and like before and after, mostly after.
Yeah.
But it's every piece of this. I mean, just so people out there are aware, we're taking everything as a learning opportunity, whether it's good or bad.
Yep.
Especially the bad, because then we can figure out what led us down that path and we can fix it for next year.
Yep.
But basically, any detracting statements that have come out, it's like, okay, it's valuable information because now we know how to avoid that stuff in the future. How do we fix that stuff in the future?
Yep.
We can go from there. So we're gonna be taking steps next year to try and fix some of the problems that we had.
And it's always an ongoing learning opportunity.
It's never ending. You
Yep.
always got to improve.
Yep.
Always got to improve, because the second that you sit back and you think that okay, we're fine, that's the point that you're not really being honest with yourself or your fans. So
And that's why sometimes I'm always worried.
yeah.
So last thing when it's have happened, it's like, oh, we're fine. Tune the music. It's over. It's like it's
Mhm.
not over until it's over.
But I mean we've hit on all the topics that we wanted to have here. I mean I finished the shot test for the gin.
Yep.
The shot
Right.
test was good.
Thanks again for the gin. Appreciate it,
It
Chris.
was pretty darn good. So last closing statements for that particular
Oh, geez.
aspect of it.
We ran overtime.
Yeah, we're hitting about 2 hours. Dixon's Wicked Gin, I give it 2 thumbs up. It's really good. If you're not a gin drinker and you wanted to try gin, try this out. Grab it. It's not a very strong gin. It's not very abrasive. It's a very good it's a very good soft drink. Not a soft drink, just a soft drink.
Lush.
If you're a gin drinker, you might be a little bit disappointed because it doesn't have that sharp taste.
A turpentine.
It doesn't have that juniper taste,
Yep.
which they openly state anyways. But it has like a nice little. It's one of those things like if it's a hot day and you want to have like a cold seltzer, and you want to add something to it, perfect drink,
Yep.
absolute perfect drink. I would say if you're a gin drinker, you probably want something a little bit stronger than this. I mean, in terms of alcohol hit, it hit me pretty good. Like I was feeling pretty good there for a while.
Mm.
So you're gonna get your buzz off of it. In terms of like if you really like the taste of gin, probably not the best gin for you. There's probably better ones out there. If you're
Yeah.
not a big gin drinker, this is a good gin for you. Has a pretty good citrus aftertaste. Very impressed with it. So
Yep.
I think that's probably a great way to end off the show.
$40 a bottle. Can't miss that.
I want to
Yep.
talk about
Oh,
my Animal Crossing island. Okay, so I mean, all right. So just as a an addendum to the end of the show here,
bonus round.
if anybody watches me on Twitch, I do stream a little bit on Animal Crossing. You can follow me on Crumbrion on Twitch.tv.
Yeah.
But yeah, my Animal Crossing island. I'm trying to put together a little bit of a manga based on like these photographs that I'm taking. It's kind of like a horror manga, but it's really funny. So like Animal Crossing, I think is like super cute and super everything else, but like no, I do some pretty dark stuff on there. So if you follow me at DarksideEvie on Twitter, you're gonna see some of my photos of my Animal Crossing island. The Action Toys channel says Kraken's a nice drink. P.S. Homemade moonshine is much better. Yeah, I actually have a little bit of Kraken, a little bit of Kraken rum.
Have some homemade shoe shine around the old apartment here.
Oh yeah, I think we had some paint thinner,
We still do. Two
which
types.
Ron named moonshine, but yeah.
You're gonna throw a link in. People can follow you on the old Twitch link. Oh, what's this?
Oh my god, Action Toy channel. Oh my god, the story of Spider Island. All right, so anybody out there that doesn't know about Spider Island, all right. So on Animal Crossing, and they changed this recently, but basically there are pre-made little islands that you can go to using your Nook Miles tickets, and there's always a chance after 7 p.m. of your time, 7 p.m. in game time, that you can go to an island that is specifically spawning tarantulas, depending on the time of year, either tarantulas or scorpions. And so it's basically it's a big island, right? It's just an outer ring with a little moat, and then on the center island, it's a big platform of land. It's nothing but fucking tarantulas. So to give you an idea, tarantulas are like the best selling item on the planet. So if you sell them to Flick, who's like a specific NPC, you can sell them for 12,000 bells. And if you have a full inventory, you can carry 40 tarantulas. So do the math there. You can get a lot of fucking money by catching like 40 tarantulas if you can manage it. But yeah, so that was the story of my Animal Crossing thing. I managed to find Tarantula Island a couple of times, and I filled up my inventory with tarantulas, and I flew back, and it was a nightmare, but I managed to get it done. So
Yeah, and anyone who has to visit your island, I've only seen it bits and pieces here and there, and I remember when you first start playing the game to where I right now. It's really cool. It really is. Almost makes me want to go buy a Switch of my own and visit this thing. But right now, that's a little of my price range. But from what you showed me, you put a lot of work into it, and it really shows.
well, it's a lot of fun. Like I mean, Animal Crossing for people who haven't played it. Yeah, it's a bit repetitive, but it's kind of like one of those games you can just chill and play.
Yeah.
It's a super fun game. You can just sit back and play it and not worry about it. I mean, I have a lot of fun because I make up little scenarios that just kind of spontaneously happen. I mean, like I have my Yandere story going on right now
Yeah.
with my villager like stalking, and I don't know. It's so weird as an offshoot topic here, really briefly.
Yeah.
The game has given me so many times I give gifts to villagers and they give me gifts back. I have gotten so many school uniforms. It's ridiculous. And so like basically I give school uniforms to the villagers because I don't need like 40 of them. So I give the school uniforms to the villagers and they dress up in the school uniforms and they don't dress up all the time, only so often. But like over the past couple of days, I've had like I've had photo opportunities where they've all been wearing school uniforms. And so I get like this great Yandere story going on where I have like my villager just like having this like angsty thing against I can't remember his name right now. He's like an elephant.
Yeah.
It's like this elephant is like she's like yandere for this elephant, and this elephant's like going on a picnic with this other female villager, and so like my villager's there with an axe, just like stalking him in the trees. It's fucking hilarious. So, like I follow me on Twitter. I have my pictures on there. I'm probably gonna make a manga, like a short manga about it eventually.
Well,
Because it's just like so
yeah.
funny.
Well, one of the few things I liked is that on your Twitter, which I saw recently, you got like 3 or 4 different different pictures. But if you cycle through it quickly enough, it looks like it's animated
Yeah,
stuff. Like that
yeah.
stuff was
That's
really,
the stuff I'm talking about.
yeah, it's really fun to see.
Yeah.
And your Max Payne thing, by the way, that was funny. The
Oh, the
yeah, I so
oh
I
my god, that was so fucking funny.
I so wanted to put the Captain America saying, I understand that reference.
Do it, do it. That was so funny. It was just like a random thing. So like I was in the little Nook office thing,
Yeah.
and then I needed a picture for a Nook Miles, like a Nook Miles Plus thing. So I'm like, oh whatever, I'm gonna try this out. So I went to the camera mode, and I found out when you go into camera mode and you sit down in the little seats. So normally, what happens when you go into that office, when you sit down in the seat, either Tom Nook or Isabel, they go alert and they come out and they come in down and sit and talk to you. But not when you're in camera mode. In camera mode, you can sit down and they don't pay any attention to you. So like I got this perfect fucking idea. I'm like, okay, so I sat down and I started doing little emotes,
Yeah.
like little emotion things. And then Tom Nook saw me and he just like reacted to it. And I'm like, I could make something really cool out of this. So I did like this little thing where it was just like this film noir detective thing where I sat down in the fucking chair and I reacted. And then Tom Nook looks over and he's like, whoa. Like, there she was. She like walked into my office like a tiger in a Burmese orphanage.
Well, the thing is that when I put 2 and 2 together, I went, "This is genius. This
It
is
was so good.
funny."
It
'Cause
was so good.
again, all of it just really clicked together. So yeah, I'm gonna stock it down on the Facebook. I'm gonna throw it up there. I'm gonna throw it over on the Twitter as well because I think it's really funny with that Captain America reference behind it.
It's
So
so fucking funny because like you think like Animal Crossing is a super cute little thing and whatever else. Like no, you can do some serious shit in this island. Like the a few of the custom designs that I have, like little blood pattern, like little blood spatter designs, right? Just threw together randomly. But like you can put on face paint on your villager, right? When you're wearing outfits, you can put face paint, and you can use custom designs as face paint. So you can use the blood spatter as like fucking face paint to make it look like your villager's covered in blood. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. It's but like that's what I'm doing right now. It's like I'm making like a Yandere manga based off of my Animal Crossing.
that's absolutely
It's
hilarious.
just like I'm gonna pull one up right now.
All right.
Let me just see. Just 1 second here if I can find this. I'm just gonna close a couple of things here real quick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna screen share this so you can see it.
Cool.
Hold on. I'm new to this portion of it, so
It's all good.
I'm new to this portion of it. Let me screen share this. Screen sharing versus 2 monitors. Yep. There we go.
Oh,
Wow, it actually worked first try. Let's go. All right, so y'all can see this now. So I mean, okay. First of all, I'm gonna show this one because this is hilarious.
all right.
I went to a friend's island, and Kenzie Keyboards, and she has the fucking statue of David here, so I had to have this picture.
Yeah, I saw that one. That's very funny on
I had
multiple.
to have that one.
I saved it.
Action toy says, "Oh my god, that's epic." So here's some of these ones that I'm talking about here. Okay, so here's one of the photos that you can
Yeah.
see. It's like, so this landmass behind me, like this landmass back here, this is man-made. I did this myself. Okay, I built up the little things. I made a little waterfall. This took fucking forever to figure out how to get that to be up there. Huge headache. But then like taking pictures of it, beautiful. So you can see like the little blood spatters on there on the face. Hilarious. This is the end result of this fucking elephant being a jackass, right? It's like you always try to escape me, always try to leave me, and you never stay. Never. I don't understand why. I love you best. I always love you best, even when you didn't remember my name. You'll remember me eventually, won't you?
Oh boy.
That's the end result. That's the end result of a scene that's coming up afterwards. But here's the detective noir one.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. Animal Crossing is fucking amazing, all right?
Yeah.
She walked into my door like a tiger. She walked through my door like a tigress into a Burmese orphanage. Strawberry blonde and legs for hours. No dame her age could afford a coat like that. And the makeup she had on gave me a good idea how she got it. She had bad news written on her like the October of 29. Like,
And the whole thing going.
it's so good. It's so good. Love it. And
Yeah.
so like here we have an unsuspecting Lyle. This poor man. Like again, he's like I gave him a school uniform and he just like randomly put it on. He's just chilling under a fucking tree. He was like fishing for like 3 hours before this picture happened. And I walk over there and he just like pops a can and sits down. I'm like, well, this is a great photo. He's like, I'll be watching over you. I'll be there forever. So don't think you're alone, darling.
Oh wow.
And then this fucking series of events right here.
Yeah.
This fucking series of events right here. You said you'd be at our special place. You just didn't know it was ours, did you? You'll remember this time. I'll make sure you do.
My kitty on.
So exactly. Wow. What I'm talking. This is what I do in Animal Crossing. This is what I do.
You have to put what you just did here into a separate video and throw that on your YouTube. If you and I are both laughing at this, I can only imagine the other people just lose their shit going over.
I'm telling you, I have so many people telling me it's like, oh my god, it's like your fucking photos, like your horror videos of Animal Crossing are like hilarious. It's like,
especially with the voice you just got. That will all together. Doesn't be animated, just like, single cell.
How like, I cannot manipulate this. Okay, so like here he is had a little fucking picnic basket. All right, he has this little fucking picnic basket. I'm not even kidding. This is all in the same fucking scene too. You can see Sky over here, and here he is with this little fucking picnic basket, and then she walks into goddamn frame with a fucking sandwich. I just like this shit writes itself. Like honestly, so I'm just standing here with an axe. Just behind the rocks, just watching them. Which explains this situation right down here, right? Explains that situation entirely. I love you best. I always loved you best, even when you didn't remember my name. Nobody loves you like I do.
Holmes. That is so funny and wrong and funny again all at the same time.
It's so good. It's so good.
Oh fuck.
So there you go.
Yeah.
That's what's happening on my Animal Crossing island.
Yeah.
I'm having a Yandere simulator going on.
This is not what Animal Crossing was made for. It is now.
Oh, it absolutely is now. Okay, so real talk. I'm building up. So like I bought like a whole bunch of school chairs and the school desks, and my upstairs is like this big long room, right? So I'm going to be
Yeah.
making a school classroom up there. You, you can bet. You can bet I'm going to be making bloody handprints and bloody and blood stains and all this other shit. Shit's
Oh,
going down on Eventide. Shit is going down. Let me
I
tell you.
I could so see a brochure for your island. Yes, the island is great. Look at
Oh,
this.
everything's perfectly fine and everything. It's no issues here at all. And then you just see
None
this
whatsoever.
blood pool behind a stump.
What's that? Nothing.
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Hey,
Don't
by
pay
the way,
attention.
we do have a curfew. It's a suggested curfew,
Let me find
but
that
you
one
know,
photo. That
what
fucking
is it?
so this all started out when that fucking weirdo rabbit decided to show up to my island.
All right.
And this all started back then. Let me just find it real quick.
Yeah, yeah. No problem.
So like this rabbit shows up. Oh, this one was pretty funny. I'm gonna put that on screen share right quick.
Yeah.
This was the bunny day. It's me in the fucking room with all the bunny day shit. It's like, yes, I build and build, yet it craves more. This was fucking bunny day for me. Yeah, let's
Oh,
find it.
fuck.
Yeah, here we go. It's this motherfucker. The
What's this?
fucking Zipper, the goddamn bunny. Who's
All
the
right.
fool now, Zipper? Who's the fool now? And then we have this next shot. Wonder what happened. I wonder what happened to him.
Oh fuck! I've got the worst eyesight on the planet, and I can see that. That's fucking hilarious. Oh.
Who, who's the fool now, Zipper?
Zipper was never talked about or seen again.
No, that's the funny part. He was not.
The island
He was fucking voted off the goddamn island.
voted. You ever wonder why, when you're on Cress's Island, there's wonderful flowers everywhere? I wonder what's being fed.
What what is happening behind the scenes? I wonder.
There's so much plant life, and it's just flourishing so much. Oh,
This one was also a pretty entertaining one. Whoops. There we go. Just holding my little. So like, there's little tools that people just don't understand that can be used in different scenarios.
so stoned.
So when you're building a fence, when you're building fences, you have this little hammer, right? So like, more power to you folks out there. If you want to get creative with this stuff, you can use your little fence builder to make your character look like a psychopath. So
The little crazy look in its eye.
yeah.
Oh goodness gracious!
So
From that video with Hexy yesterday, running around with a hammer.
that was pretty good. Whacking zombies in the head with a hammer.
Yeah. Oh my goodness gracious!
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's about all I got for today. I mean, that
Yeah.
Animal Crossing stuff is pretty damn funny.
Well, I wish I could share stuff
Pretty
like
good.
that, but I'm pretty boring these days. But that's some funny shit, Drum. That's
Yeah,
absolutely
it's pretty funny stuff.
hilarious.
I mean, like, I every so often I'll stream Animal Crossing. Sometimes I'll do that stuff on stream. So you can check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/Corumbrion, just as it's spelled right, I guess, right over here.
Yes,
There we
somewhere.
go. Bop, 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 bop.
Yeah, somewhere over there.
Somewhere over there.
Yeah, just throw in the link description. People could click it.
I'm not too worried about that. I mean,
No. All right.
but no, if people, I mean, if people have had fun with this broadcast today, I mean, be sure to drop a like, drop a subscription, and make sure you check off the little bell to be notified when we're on next. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're on every Saturday. We're gonna be doing this every Saturday at 5 p.m. So
Yeah. And then on top of that, we may come up with some different streams between here and there, depending on how our conversation rock and rolls. And
yeah,
again, this has been absolute fun. Lots
it's
of
been amazing.
improv, lot of I want to say soul searching, but just a lot of good stuff came
A
out
lot
of
of
this
good stuff.
broadcast. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, check out the Patreon if you're one of the tiers. You can suggest content, anyways. You can suggest shows, and whatever else will do it. And
Yep.
yeah, be sure to check out the Patreon. Be sure to check out the Twitter at DarksideEV, and we'll be I'm back again next week.
For
Thank you
sure.
guys so much for hanging out. We really, really appreciate all of you. If you're late to the broadcast, be sure to check out the repeat because it is entertaining AF.
For sure. For sure. A lot of good times. Hopefully everyone enjoyed themselves. And plus on top of that, I'll get a contact with what's this on the way out?
Something tells me that one guy is tied to a bed sometime somewhere in town with broken ankles. You're not wrong. I'm not gonna say where. I don't have my basement yet, so
Oh god.
we'll get there eventually. That's my next upgrade. I get my basement.
Oh goodness gracious. This is gonna be way too much fun as time continues on. Maybe I might make this part of the segment of the show, perhaps. What's happening on the island this week?
I'll reveal my manga as I build it, type of thing. That'd be funny.
That would be. That would be. All right, let's get out of here.
So closing comments for you.
From
I said
me.
mine. I said my closing comments.
Basically, my name is Recepit. I'm here on the YouTube. That's RCEHOPPE. You can pretty much follow me on pretty much any social media that's currently out there right now. I pretty much hang out on Facebook an awful lot. I'm just slowly getting back on Twitter. But however, once again, always follow us here on this particular channel for more Canuckleheads. And at the same time, we're putting lots of fun together and talking about whatever comes to mind, sitting back, chilling, drinking a little bit, whatever comes our way, and lots of fun.
And yeah, check out the Patreon if you want to find out ways to interact with the show. Lots of cool different ways there, right up to being part of the show itself. So come on and join us. Thank you, all wonderful people.
Yeah, for sure.
For now, keep your stick on the ice. We're signing off.
Have a good one. See you guys.
Good night.
Good night.